Hey, Audio Road listener, what is your profit per mile? How about your cost per mile? Or even your bottom line? Stop driving blind and know your numbers. Profit Gauges is absolutely simple bookkeeping specifically for owner-operators. Have instant access to business and tax reports that will help you increase your profits and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Sign up for Profit Gauges today and take advantage of our 30-day free trial. Know your numbers and master the journey. Visit our website at letstruck.com or call our Tribe Care Team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3835.
Your money, your taxes, your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Good morning, you beautiful bunch of Fockers, and welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. It is Monday, September 16th. We are here live. We've got a busy day today. My co-host, Brent Hutto, is taking a break from his nonstop globetrotting and flying around on planes to join us today. We've also got a special guest, Erica Cortez, the Senior Product Manager at truckstop.com. So we're going to jump right into stuff and get started. Brent, good morning. Uh-oh. Why am I not?
Good morning, Kevin.
Oh, there you are.
How are you?
Oh, yeah,
Hey, I'm right here. Sorry.
Did you do that on purpose?
Dude, I'm in our nation's capital, my brother.
Oh, you going to do some lobbying while you're there? Can I put in requests?
I am. Yeah, please. Yes, I would love it. Yes, I'm doing some lobbying and talking to some senators and some representatives and go up on the Hill and do stuff. Absolutely. What's your request?
We got to make Elon Musk in charge of something in the government. I have another.
We got to get Elon Musk involved in the government.
We do. I mean, this wasn't what I planned on starting with today, but you brought it up. So, I've been saying for a while now since he got into the space business, what he's done is incredible. I mean, NASA's been around forever, and we still throw away our rocket launchers. His come back and land right on the pad, and we reuse them. That we couldn't get our astronauts back from space. We had to call Elon and say, hey, can we hitch a ride and bring these guys back? We also know that there was some goofy program out there, and I don't remember if I think it was like $4.6 billion, or the numbers escape me anymore. They're all so big, to bring internet to rural America. I don't know why that's the government's job, but they have a bunch of money, and yet nobody's been connected yet. From what I gather, this money's either there or spent or something happened, but nobody's connected to the internet. Yesterday, I posted, Elon hit another home run. I now have a satellite dish for Starlink that fits in my backpack, has a built-in router, and I can carry it around with a little battery pack to power it and be on the internet anywhere. You just walk around with this thing in my backpack, and when I feel like getting on the internet, you just pop it out, power it up, and you're on the internet in a couple minutes. And I found some quotes from the FCC that said Elon Musk and Starlink do not have the ability to connect rural America to the internet. And he's connected almost the entire world now to the internet. And then now they're making a statement. The FCC is now saying about Elon Musk that he's creating a monopoly in internet connection and it needs to be stopped. Well, which one is it?
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, look, here's the thing: if an independent citizen who wants to take his own resources and build rockets and can land that rocket, not just land it back on the ground, but land it in the middle of the ocean on a pad, then I mean, look, here's the thing I like about Elon Musk. I realize he was born in another country and those sort of things, but look, he is all about what America's about: free speech, independent business ownership, private enterprise doing the things that private enterprise should do, which is to create innovation for the United States. And so the more there's a lot of things about Elon Musk I kind of scratch my head about, but when it comes to business, man, the guy just seems to has it worked out to like provide products that anyone can utilize.
This may sound really stupid, but the level of detail at Starlink, it was the easiest experience I've ever had getting on the internet. I said that the last time I hooked up Starlink for the first time. This dish is even easier. Right down to the fact that the shipping box that it comes in, I don't need a knife or a razor to open it. It's got 3 like zippered tabs. That's the box they ship it in. You unzip the box, you pull it out, you plug it in, and within minutes you're on the internet. I mean, I've never seen a process so simple down to every last detail.
Wow, that's amazing. I know that you got the new homestead and everything, and I'm sure you're looking at different potential energy sources and stuff. And I know that Tesla has the best solar cell that you can get,
Right.
And then they've got the thing called the power bank. And why I was researching solar power the other day, my wife was like, "Hey, we should get a solar power generator." So I started doing some research, and then I remembered I have a brother-in-law who's going to solar power his entire giant barn that he just. It's a giant greenhouse that he's building, and he's done all this research. He's like, there's all the other solar panels, and there's Tesla. Bring it out. And my point is that he just creates, from what I can see, he just continues to create excellence. In his products, no matter where he is. And you just look at these things, and then you think about, why did he buy Twitter? If you listen to what he says, I bought it because free speech is darn important. It's it's ultimately important. I bought it because free speech needs to reign no matter what. He goes, and a lot of these people that own these giant tech platforms are moderating speech a lot. I mean, you've talked a lot about that. You've talked to me a lot about that. And so, I kind of applaud anybody who's all about the foundational reasons why this country exists.
Absolutely. All right. Hey, I could go on and on forever about this, but like I said, I wasn't planning that. I'm going to blame it on you. You triggered me. What are we going to talk about today? I know we have lots of cool stuff to talk about today.
Man. Well, we'll talk about the market, but first and foremost, though, we got a special guest on today. So before I introduce her, so one of the most difficult things in all of transportation, and one of the things that owner operators absolutely do not like to do in the marketplace is negotiate for the rate. Because most owner operators feel like they're a bit of a disadvantage when it comes to negotiating with a broker or even a shipper, because owner operators are a small business, and these brokers can be businesses, and the shipper can be an even larger business, and so they really hate negotiating rates. We did a piece of research, and so Truck Stop has a solution for that, and we have an entire kind of segment of our company that looks at nothing but providing rates for owner operators to be able to secure the best loads. And so on today is Erica Cortez, our senior product manager, to talk all about our AI driven, all that high tech stuff, high tech driven rate product called Rate Insight.
Excellent. So I would. This, you and I have talked about this many times. We've talked about it up on stage. I've gone through all the reasons why the typical or average or almost every owner operator is at a disadvantage when they're negotiating especially with the broker. The personality differences. I'm big on this. I do a lot of personality testing. I just did another one. Brent, you've probably heard me say this. I've believed my whole life that I'm an introvert. I just took a test, one of those personality tests, and for most things it was pretty accurate. So I had to rethink this one because I scored like 92% on being an extrovert. So I've
wow, that's a little shocking to me. I've known you for a couple of decades, and you don't come across as a introvert, but I know you, and I know how you like to power down.
Yeah,
so you definitely. Yeah.
Maybe I figured out maybe I'm just a shy extrovert, because what led me to believe that. One, I do like to spend time alone. But when I'm around people, I can enjoy it too. But if I go to a party or a gathering or a group and I don't know anybody, I will not introduce myself to anybody. I don't know why. I don't know why.
Oh yeah,
But
I've been there with you. I know. I've watched you.
yeah, I'll go sit in the corner or stand and watch everybody else. Eventually, I don't know, people always come up to me. Once they start talking to me, then I end up being kind of the center of the conversation. But it almost feels like work. I was asking somebody about this the other day, and they said, well, you do interact with a lot of people. How do you feel when you're done? And I said, I'm just exhausted. And he said, no, you really are an introvert. I
Oh
need
yeah,
I need
yeah.
that break. I need to get away from people. It's exhausting for me to do that.
Right,
I can
right.
enjoy it while it's happening, but I'm usually exhausted. So back to the point of all that, before I go down a big
Yeah,
rabbit
yeah.
hole, that's a typical
Again,
truck driver, I think. That is a personality profile of a lot of truck drivers. We don't necessarily want to be around people all the time.
right,
We
right,
can enjoy being alone for long periods of time, which is what you're going to do when you drive
right.
a truck over the road. And then you look at the personality profile of a broker. It's sales.
Oh yeah,
You come
yeah.
from a
It's
sales
opposite.
background. You've
It's
been
the
doing
opposite.
sales. It's
That's a
the
great point.
exact
Yeah.
opposite, right? So right from the start, we have a problem in negotiating because we have two very different personality profiles, and the salesperson's going to be they're going to have the advantage every time here. Now, we
Hmm.
go on to the next reason why. Truck drivers are driving all day. That's what they do.
Right,
What are
right.
brokers doing all day? They're on the phone
Professionally,
negotiating, and
professionally negotiating. Yeah.
they have a screen in front of them logged into truckstop.com, and they are looking through the data all day long. They know rates in the lanes they work off the top of their head without even thinking about it, and they stay up to date on it. They know when there's an imbalance in freight and trucks in a given area, right? They're looking at it all day. The
Absolutely.
the driver doesn't necessarily know that. Last time he was in this city, there was no freight and trucks were everywhere. Now he gets there, that could shifts all the time in freight. Now all of a sudden, there's a lot of freight, no trucks, but he doesn't know that because he's not looking at the data all day. He doesn't have time. So I could go on and on. You and I have talked about this. I've done this on stage. Everything about this interaction between these two favors the broker. And I've been saying forever, we really need tools to help these guys. I teach some strategies to help them, but having a tool like this, I'm excited to talk about this today because this really kind of levels that whole transaction for the owner operator.
Yeah, for sure it does, Kevin. And that's really honestly, I met this goofy, redheaded, introverted technologist in 1999 named Scott Moscript. Same year you and I met, and his whole reason for creating TruckStop back in 1995 was to give the owner operator all the data, all the information, all the tools to be able to create like parity or balance
Yeah.
between their need to be able to find freight and the brokers need to be able to move freight. So when you've got informational balance between the two parties, it's a lot easier to negotiate because
Yes.
Scott, when he designed this program, he said, I'm going to give the carrier every bit of information that the broker has
Right.
at their fingertips. And at that time, it was just, on a computer.
Yeah.
And then we went to laptops, and now it's on a mobile. And so Erica's going to talk a lot about what we do to sort of make the communication a lot easier, make it a more comfortable thing, make it where the owner operator has more certainty that they're getting the rate that the market is producing for that day or that week. And so to me, it's one of the it's one of the things that really fires me up about working for TruckStop, because I just love how, our heart and our goal is always just to help owner operators run their business and enjoy it.
I agree. All right. So Erica's sitting there, and I'm sure she has a million things she
She's,
wants to say. So we should probably bring her in and welcome her. Erica, good morning.
I've got.
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm getting a kick out of listening to you guys. This is great.
All right.
So
Brett
Kevin, before we go into, let me just say something about Erica real quick. So I got the honor and the joy of being able to interview Erica and hire Erica to come work for Truck Stop back when she first started her career at Truck Stop. So she started out in the marketing department as a product marketing manager, and now she's a senior product manager on our product development side. So she's just done a great job for our company. But I've known Erica since day one at Truck Stop, which has been great.
Fantastic. So Erica, what are we talking about this morning?
We are talking about our Rate Insights product and how it can help carriers negotiate with brokers.
So what do you think about the little routine Brent and I did there? We've talked about this a lot because I've put a lot of thought into this. We, at our CMC event, a big business conference, we actually brought in a negotiation trainer and we gave him a whole day. He got an entire day. It was a 5-day event, and one whole day for the owner operators and small carriers was just about negotiation strategies. And I worked with him in the beginning and said, look, I want you to stop thinking the way you think, because he trains all kinds of groups on negotiation. And I said, I want you to approach this group like they know nothing at all about negotiation. I want to start from the very beginning, and I want to teach them quick, easy things that are going to help them and give them somewhat of an advantage here. And it helps and it works. But, after you describe the reasons why owner operators struggle with this so much, we need all the help we can get. So we teach them some tricks and strategies and hacks on how to negotiate better. But it really comes down to this information. If you don't have the information and the other side does, I don't care if you're the best negotiator in the world and they're the worst. I would still say they have an advantage. Information is really key here. So this really is a big piece of this puzzle. So explain it to us. How does this work?
Yes. So negotiation is only as good as the data you have to negotiate with. So that's one of the things with Truck Stop's Rate Insight tool is Truck Stop has a lot of data, right? We are one of the leaders in the industry. We have a lot of data, and we have the ability to synthesize this data into just actionable insights delivered in a very easy to understand format. Because that's the other piece, right? So you can learn negotiation tactics all day long, but if you forget those things when you're in the moment, or you don't remember how to talk about something in the moment, it doesn't help you. So that's what Rate Insights does, is it gives you that actionable data that you need in a really easy to understand format that you can immediately take into those conversations that you're having with the brokers.
Yeah. So Kevin, actionable means you can use it really easily.
There you go.
So
that's what we need.
That's the key. Use it really easy because it's right there in front of you. So Erica, talk a little bit about like what. So when an owner operator, like when they first click in, okay, they looked at a lane, they looked at they've chosen an OD pair, a destination, a location destination, and then they go in, they go, okay, that rate looks like an okay rate, but I want to know that it's okay. What do they see inside that when they first click in? What do they see?
Absolutely. So we call it our Rate Insights on our load summary card is what Brent is discovering or talking about. So you click on a load, you see what the broker has posted the load at, and then you see right under it Truck Stop's rate estimate. So we'll give you an actual dollar amount of what you could expect on that particular load for that particular lane. Then you can dive deeper into that rate information. So it will show you a 4-week trend, for example. So is this lane and associated rates trending up, or is it trending down? It'll show you a really clear comparison over what the broker has posted it at and versus what you should expect to book it. Is it higher? Is it lower? And the data that we give to the carriers, what makes Rate Insights really special and unique in the industry is we use more data than any of our competitors, and we use the most up-to-date data compared to any of our competitors. So it's not just a generalized rate estimate based on that market area. It's based on things like what are the services and requirements for that particular load. Does it require chains, a lumper? Is it a drop off over the weekend or pick up over the weekend? It takes into account just more pieces of information to give you a more accurate number.
You know what I absolutely love about this, Brent? I can remember when I first got involved with Truck Stop and load boards in general, and I was trying to come up with strategies. There's all this data in here. How do we use it? And it was fairly complicated. I would do what Erica just described, but it was all manual. I would look up the load, I'd see what the broker was offering, or sometimes I might have to call, find
Right.
out.
Right.
Then I had to go back and start digging. And you had all the data there, and there were some tools, I could go into, negotiation strength and some other things. Then I could look historically, and I would teach people how to do that. And it was some work, and it took some effort. And I'm sitting here listening to this now, and what you've done with this tool is you took that whole complicated process that I used to try to walk people through and give them a strategy. And now it's really just a click, and all that data's right in front of you. When you say easy and actionable, it doesn't get any easier or any more actionable. You're putting all the data right in front of them and saying, here's everything you need about this load to make a decision. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So Kevin, one of the things that, and I remember talking to Noah Perry, our chief economist, about this when he's talking about like the average rates you see in the marketplace. Because we publish what's going on average in the marketplace.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Last week it was $2.23 and average. Now it's $2.21 this week, and drive-in freight was $1.92 last week. Well, it's $1.86 this week, and those are averages. But those aren't. And Noel educated me on this. I know when I talked to you about it, you were like, "Yeah, that's right. That's right." When you look at rate data in the marketplace, it needs to be on that lane, on that day, at that time, for that specific commodity. And so, because that's the useful data.
Right.
And so that's why when Erica talks about it's actionable, that it's useful, because it gives a complete view of what the rate is right then, but what it was and what it's projected to be over the next period of time within that exact piece of freight. So Erica, talk a little bit about like when you look at like the when you look at the rating range on it, like as far as like their confidence levels.
Absolutely. So we have confidence levels in a particular lane based on the data that we have for that particular lane and that particular load. We like to say, okay, there's a lot of people out there that can give you, an estimate for a particular lane. Truckstop gives you an estimate for that particular load. So within the Rate Insights tool, we tell you, okay, $1,800, and 81 cents. This is what you should expect, on this particular load. But we also give you a range, like Brent was talking about. So we say, okay, this is, on the low side, and this is what you could even expect on the high side. And again, it's all this data that you then can compare to what the broker is actually posting it for. And then you can use those numbers in your negotiation.
This data and the way now, did I hear earlier that this is now using some AI as part of this?
It is using very advanced, what we call machine learning. AI is
right.
kind of a catch-all,
right. No,
for a lot of different things,
Yeah, we
use
talked
machine
about
learning, yeah.
AI a lot on the show. I said in the beginning that it's going to be pretty incredible. We use it for a lot of things here. It's helped us. But I also said if I could wave a magic wand and make it go away, I would. I'm a little worried about some uses of AI, and then I love other uses of it. But I did post the other day that I'm no longer calling for AI to go away. I'm going to fully embrace it now that I saw all the cat and dog videos that it made about Springfield, Ohio. I thought that was absolutely incredible. So now I'm a total fan of AI.
Those were hilarious.
It worked. I hate watching videos on the internet. I think I might be the only person in the world that doesn't like watching videos on the internet. I'd rather read it, but those I've become obsessed with. So if that's what AI is bringing, I'm all for it. But I love uses like this of AI. taking a lot of complicated data, which Truckstop has a lot of complicated data, and really organizing it in a way that makes sense for us. That I think is a beautiful use of AI, and this technology I'm really excited about because it, like I said, I've tried to teach this. Here's a tool, here's a tool. You got to go here, you got to go here. I had this long process, and now it's really summarized in one place.
Kevin, I love AI in the use from a standpoint of like non-personal reasons, and rate data is not personal.
Right.
But when you look
Right.
at this marketplace, I mean, there are hundreds of millions of pieces of freight moving every year to the tune of almost 1 trillion pieces of freight that move. It's like 800 or 900 million movements. Every one of them has a rate on it. If you're a 1 truck or 2 truck operation, you need somebody that can pull all that together that you trust and that will deliver it to you in a format that you can make a decision. Here's the key, and I want you to talk, Eric, I want you to talk a little bit about this, about how quickly you need the data to be able to make a decision that you would like to negotiate that piece of freight, because our marketplace moves really quick. So this data has to be immediate, and it has to be vetted and has to be correct to the market, because remember, trucking is a supply and demand marketplace. It's going to change every day. So
Every day.
Erica, talk a little bit about how the data, how recent, I guess I don't know the exact technical word that goes into the data on there, but how most accurate and recent the data that they're looking at is.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone knows, spot market loads go fast. We've seen data where, load will get posted and it comes off the board and it's already booked, within 30 seconds. It can move that quickly. So you're exactly right. So getting the data at the exact time that you need it to make the exact, conversation go with the broker that you're negotiating with go well is, what determines whether you're going to be successful or not. So not only is, the data and rate insights, specific to that particular, again, I talk about this, that particular lane, it's also specific to that particular load. And it's up to the day, information, because as we know, freight changes, markets change on, weekly, daily basis. So you need to have that most up-to-date information. And it doesn't help you if you're going into negotiation with a broker and, another tool is giving you the wrong information. You need to have trust, like you said, Kevin, you need to have trust that the data is correct. Mm-hmm. And Truckstop has the data and has the position in the market to have the data to synthesize it to give you data that you can trust.
Fantastic. Hey, Brent, at some point,
yeah, man,
can we put together a demo of this for my CMC group when we do the?
Oh, sure,
the
absolutely. We make
webinar.
sure we do demos on every product. Yeah, I'm almost pretty confident I can give. I think we probably already have a demo that we can publish to you, no problem. So
that would be great. We're training a lot of new carriers coming into the market that want to be carriers, and this really, in my opinion, is one of the most important topics they need to kind of master. Many of the people I'm working with are owner operators. They've been leased to a carrier. They've got the expense side down. They're really doing all that well. But now when they go to become a carrier, this is a whole new area, and this is going to make it so much easier. I think you just freed up 2 weeks for me and my CMC that I can dedicate to something else, because this is so much easier than what I used to teach.
Well, Kevin, one of the things you love about owner operators, and in my 25 plus years of being around them, is that they know their stuff. They know the truck, they know the country, they know the roads, they know those things. And so there's a lot in this industry that is experience and gut, you just trust, right. I've done it. rates is a totally different ball game. I'm just telling you, totally different ball game. You might say, well, last year I hauled this for 2,100. 2,100 is fine, and that's what it's because that's what it's advertised for. But the market rate right now is 2,300. You just left 200 bucks of profit. That's going to be profit out of your pocket. That if you would have just used access to a piece of data that's right there in your view on the load board, and you're just going to add more profit to your bottom line. You're also, here's the thing, and I want to make sure you and I talk about this, and I'd love to get Erica's opinion too, because she's a marketing person as well as a product person, is that when you're able to negotiate really sort of what I would call fairly, like when you've got impartial data to talk to a broker about, I'm going to guess, Kevin, they're going to create something that you and I are always talking about. They're going to create a better relationship with that broker. So it's not just this load, but maybe the next load and the next load, and maybe they get a better rate on those loads because the broker now says, well, this guy or girl did a great job on the last load. Let's, hey, you know what? I trust him. I can move this really quick. By the way, here's a little pro tip to every carrier out there. The faster you can work with a broker, the more likely they're going to give you a better rate because they can move that load quicker because they measure everything in time.
Great.
They got to get it out in a certain amount of time. So super important. So relationship and time.
And I'll jump in and then we can get Erica's opinion on this. I've worked with enough brokers, Brent, you have too. I was a broker at one point. We know that when a broker has to use a carrier they're not familiar with, which happens way too often, you and I talk about this all the time, they are putting their customer at risk. They've gone out and built trust with a customer to get and secure that freight. Now it has to get delivered on time without problems and issues. And there's always a risk when you're putting it on a carrier you don't know. But that's what most of our small carriers and owner operators are doing. They're just randomly looking for loads, chasing the rate. I will tell you this, every good broker I've ever met would much rather pay a higher price to a trusted carrier rather than a lower price to a non-trusted carrier. Would you agree with that?
Oh, every single time.
Yes.
They tell me this. I mean, I'm one of the reasons why I'm in DC is I'm at the Transportation Intermediaries Board of Directors meeting, and I know them all really well, and they're good, hardworking people, just like the truckers are, and they'll say the same thing. Hey, the faster I can work, the more flexibility I have in what I can pay the trucker to carry it.
Yep. And if I can work with somebody quickly that I've worked with before that I trust, I'd much rather give them the higher rate and move on to my next load and know that it's being handled with, and there's not going to be problems. And if they are, they're going to get solved.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point, Kevin, with saying that, and I so appreciate you saying this. That broker is putting their reputation on line with their customer.
Yes.
By using that carrier. And if it's the first time you use them, there's always going to be a little bit of I gotta hold back just a little bit. But if they know this trucker's hauled 5 or 6 loads, for them, they're going to move really quick. They're going to give you a much more beneficial rate on it. And because it's best for them and it's best for their customer because they want to protect their customer too. And so to me, that's so important to talk about. And this is why I want truckers to have I want them to have ultimate complete choice because that's really what owning your own business is all about. You have complete choice. But the whole one and done is not the best model. One load a year for one broker is not the best model when it comes to your bottom line profit.
I would say it's probably the worst. And Erica, jump in on this. Here's the 2 different scenarios, and we see this play out every day. And the first scenario is far more common. The owner-operator small carrier doesn't know the data. They're just kind of flying by the seat of their pants like many of them do. But they don't know their own numbers many times. Why would they care about any of the other numbers? And when they call a broker on a load, it's contentious right from the start. Because in their mind, the rate is always too low. I get that. We all want to get paid more. But they're unreasonable many times in the negotiation because they don't know the data. They might be, oh, come on, I know you've got more room than that. This is a horrible rate. It's contentious. And then many times they just move on the next load to somebody else. On the other hand, if they're using this tool and they speak intelligently about the rates in this lane, the history, so they can still negotiate with this. I'm not saying we shouldn't, negotiate with the broker, but when we negotiate with good data that they already know, that's the difference here. When the owner operator just assumes that this rate is too low and the broker's looking at the data, he then looks at the owner operator like, you really don't know what you should know to run your own business. And is that a small carrier or an owner operator they want to trust with their customers' freight? Probably not. They may give them this load if they can get away with the rate they want to pay, which many times is going to be less at that point. On the other hand, an owner operator calls, he has this data, he speaks intelligently about, well, here's the history in this lane. Here's what I think is a fair price. Not only are you more likely to get more money on this load, but that broker will look at you as a resource moving forward. I've heard many times from owner operators, brokers don't want to build relationships. That is so untrue. They don't want to build relationships with people who don't run a business well. So every clue, every tool that the owner operator is using works towards building that long-term relationship that works better for all of us. The broker can move more loads faster. The owner operator can get a better rate on the loads they get. It seems to me like such an obvious good solution that the only question I have is, why aren't more owner operators using these tools?
Absolutely. The level of professionalism, you carriers speak to a broker, they expect a level of professionalism. Well, it goes both ways. You need to be professional with the broker as well. And that's what will start that rapport with the broker. So you can get more, dedicated freight. So you're not having to find all your loads, off the board. And coming back, Kevin, to what you're saying, when, carriers negotiating with a broker on a load and, say the broker, quotes 1,100. Carrier will feel successful if they get the broker up to 1150, 1200.
Right.
But what they don't know, because they don't have the data, is maybe loads in that lane are going for 1500, 1700.
Right.
That's a lot of money they're leaving on the table. So it's like, how do you define success? Get an extra 50, $100 on a load, or do you want to use real market data to get what you should be getting on that load?
Absolutely. All right. Boy, the time's flying this morning. What else do we want to cover on this? Brent, Erica, anything else we want to dive into here?
Well, I would say, I think one of the things that this is, and maybe we can close with this, is just there's a lot of data in the marketplace. One of the reasons why truckstop data is, and I'll use the word again that Erica uses, actionable. In other words, you can use it in your business, is that it's reflective of a marketplace. Truckstop, most people go, well, it's a truckstop. Truckstop's a product. It's actually not a product. It is a marketplace where carriers and brokers transact to move freight. And so because it's a marketplace and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of loads every day, every week, that the carrier can look at, then you have, it creates for you a better certainty that the data that you're looking at is representative of the marketplace you're working in. Because if you can go pull data from other data sources out there, but is it specific to the spot market that you're working in? Because that's really important. Because the data changes the fastest in the spot market, because it's a single move, one transaction at a time. And so I just think it's important to know that the data that you're looking at is representative of a marketplace, and that it's trusted. I mean, we've been around almost 30 years. It's trusted, and it's built for the carrier. Truckstop started in 95, built for the carrier. All the products, the first iteration of this product was RateMate. It was a really just a basic product for owner operators to get a rate on a lane for that load. And so we've just really stepped it up when it comes to this high level sort of data evaluation piece, using all those really, new words that are out there, machine learning, AI. But you just want to know that you have a good grasp on that data, because it does. It changes so quickly and you want to be able to be working in something that represents the marketplace. I think that's really impactful for the carrier.
You know, Brent, you know this because we've spent a lot of time together. You've been on stage with me. I used to be kind of a raving lunatic about the whole supply and demand thing. Why don't you guys get this? Rate is always supply and demand, always.
Right. Yes.
And I
Yes.
used to just get so frustrated that people would push back. Owner operators would push back and say, it's not true. Why then is this rate so much higher than this rate over here? And it finally dawned on me that I was the one that was wrong here. That it is supply and demand. I'm not wrong about that. I was wrong about why we don't understand it as well as we should in this industry. And it's because we have a really complicated situation when it comes to supply and demand. And it didn't dawn on me for a long time that that's why this is so much of a struggle for them to understand. It's why sometimes they believe the rates are being manipulated, which they're absolutely not. But the problem is what you just described. This is one of the few industries I know of that supply and demand changes by the hour, not just the day. Friday afternoon may
Yep.
be significantly different than Friday morning was. And the
Yep.
problem with understanding supply and demand in our industry is the supply side, the capacity is always on the move. I mean, we don't know where it is all the time. And that
Right.
really
Right.
complicates this. And it took me a while to understand that. So now I try to explain. And if you were to use this tool every day, Erica, would you agree with me on this? If you were to use this tool every time you went to book a load, you would start to understand why the supply dynamic is so crazy in this industry and hard to understand. This tool would teach you that.
It really would, Kevin. It really would. And, I hear that from carriers too. Why is this load posted at such a higher rate, compared to this load? It looks like the exact, quote unquote, same load. It comes down to, we call it the trickiness of the load, or,
Yeah.
the complications of the load. Is it, at a weird, pickup facility that only is open certain times of the day? Does it require, something specific about, how you need to, package it on your flatbed, or, something like that. We take all those things into account when we are quoting the rate back to you. And one thing I'll say is, there's a lot of freight on truck stop. Well, I shouldn't say a lot of freight. There's some freight on truck stop. Everyone knows this, that isn't posted with a rate.
Right.
Brokers aren't required to post a rate. So how the heck is a carrier supposed to know what that rate should be moved for? They have no idea. So they need a tool like Rate Insights to be able to give them, not only, this is the data that you need to negotiate, but it's actual based on that particular load. It's really what you should be earning on that particular load.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Kevin. Hey, Kevin. A couple
Yeah.
things that, like, for instance, on a load, things that change the rate. I'll just give you one of the things. Like, how many trucks? If you're hauling a load from Dallas to Atlanta, how many trucks are picking up in Dallas for those types of loads? Are there 2 trucks for every load, or are there 40 trucks for every load? That's a big determining factor. What time of the year is it? Or like I'll give you, for instance, freight that moves after a holiday period is some of the best paying freight out there. During a holiday period, right after the day after the holiday period, because there's so much that's aggregated in, because even truckers take time off. There's less trucks in the market, so you get a better rate for it. Because and every broker knows this. Every broker knows that they're going to have to, like, pay a little more during this period to move that freight. There's different times of the year that where you get more commodities, just like you just mentioned before. You get more commodities in a certain geographic area of the country to be moved. The rates are going to go up. And so I think the thing that this is, and Erica brought up something super important, like super important. Look, it used to be that only about 5 or 10% of the brokers gave a rate. Today, it's 50-60% of them give a rate in the lane. But there's still people that don't want to put a rate on the load because they want you to call them.
Right.
Well, with Rate Insights, you already know that when you make the phone call, you know what it's supposed to go for, even though they haven't posted a rate for that actual movement. So you can say, well, on Truck Stop, on Rate Insights right now on that lane, it's going for this.
That's right.
And you can certainly use it's super. I mean, it's like you come into it with the same. It's like bringing, the old saying, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You're bringing a gun to a gunfight because you got your own gun, man. And you can use it for your best benefit.
I would say that based on the way they've been doing this in the past, they're not bringing a gun to a gunfight. They're bringing an RPG to a gunfight.
Well, it certainly, it levels the playing field, and that's the whole thing when it comes to any negotiation. You want to have a fair playing field, and if you can get an advantage, get it and take it.
You just said something that I hadn't thought about, but I really like the way you said it. You used the term when you're talking to the broker, but Truck Stop Rate Insight says that's a powerful statement to the broker.
Oh, for sure it is. Yeah, 100% it is. Yeah.
As soon as I heard you say that, it clicked. I thought that's powerful, because it's not just me ranting as an owner operator that it's got to pay more, because they hear that over and over and over every single call. It's got to pay more. And sometimes, and Eric, I'm sure you'll agree with this as well, there are times where the broker is, maybe we're getting right down to the last couple of hours to move this load. He might already be putting out a rate that's higher than what should have been paid. He's got to move this. Brokers sometimes misquote freight, right? That happens a lot. They get stuck with the load that they don't have enough margin in. They're already kind of pushing their limits, and the knee-jerk response from every owner-operator is, well, you got to have more. Well, that's just annoying. But if you say, hey, look, Truck Stop Rate Insight, here's the history, here's the average, here's, what it should be going for now, here's what it will probably be going for in a week. They know you now have the data. And I think that's really powerful to use that tool that way.
Absolutely. And you hit on something important, Kevin, that I want to call a distinction to that I haven't talked about yet. So there's the rate on a load that's posted. There's, the posted rate. Then there's the actual booked rate, right?
Right.
So when you're looking at the Rate Insights data, it is booked rates. We're not just pulling, we use that in part of our machine learning calculation, what it was posted for, but it was what were these loads and this similar loads and this lane actually booked for. So again, it comes down to that level of accuracy that will help you, make what you should be making on that particular load. And then the other thing that I'll say is, I get it, this information can be overwhelming to a carrier, especially a new carrier to the industry, the type of carriers that sometimes, flock to load boards. Rate Insights makes it easy to understand.
Yes.
You don't feel overwhelmed when you're looking at the data. It's very clear that we hope that the user experience is very clear, what the information is and how you need to utilize it.
Absolutely.
Hey, Kevin, one of the things too that's super important about rate is, look, when you're negotiating anything, doesn't matter what it is, negotiate with another person. It's always another human being. You need to present information that they can agree on. And here's why I say this, okay? So if you're talking about, I need 2,100 and they want to go for 1,900, and you say, well, on Rate Insights, it's at 2,100. That's the market rate going right now, and that was the market rate 3 days ago, and that was the market rate 7 days ago, and it's projected that it's only going to go up in the future on Truck Stop's platform. Then that's something that both parties can agree on. And because here's what everyone needs when they make a decision in negotiation. They need to be able to justify why they made the decision. And if you've got impartial third-party data that's in from a marketplace, it's easy for the carrier to be able to feel comfortable with that, and for the broker to say, well, we paid this much because the market rate on that day in the marketplace on Truck Stop was 2,100, and that's why we pay. So you got to get people something to agree on, and then justification for them to feel comfortable with it. And boy, negotiation moves pretty smoothly when you can do those two things.
Yeah, it does. Hey, now I've got a question for you, and you may not have the answer right now. You probably
Okay.
don't,
Yeah.
but I have a feeling you can find it. So for this specific tool, do we have a
Yep.
number? Could we come up with a number of either single truck owner operators or maybe 5 trucks or less, the really small part of the market? What percentage of them actually use this?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't. Erica might know that. I don't know it off the top of my head. We have our pro product that we have has immediate. It's built into the system, so it would be resident on that. So yeah, Erica, I'm sure we can have some type of a data that gives us some feedback on that. I'd like to know that too.
That would be even more important. Who's paying for the pro product and then not using these tools? Because I find that to be pretty common.
Well, that's why we have a complete customer success department. That's not the sales department. It's the customer success department. How well are our customers utilizing the tools? Number one, they have access to, and number two, they're paying for. We want to make sure they're getting value out of them. So, but we should be able to get that. That'd be a nice thing to talk about. Sure would.
And Erica, that's almost my mission when I talk about Truck Stop, is not to get people to buy Truck Stop. I'm assuming they already have it. They should. My mission is to get them to use the full power of what they're paying for.
Absolutely. There are so many tools on Truck Stop that can make carriers' lives easier and can make them more money. And people love Rate Insights. I have to tell you, it's one of our most popular products. What's not to love? It's good to tell you, how much money you're going to make on a load. What's not to like? So I would say a large portion of our carrier base that has pro uses Rate Insights. And to your point, if they're not using Rate Insights, then they should be using Rate Insights because they're leaving money on the table.
Absolutely. All right. With that, Erica, we will let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for joining us today and
thanks, Erica.
Opening our eyes and showing us what a great tool this has become. I've been watching the progression of these things over the years, and I'm pretty blown away with the power of this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Kevin. Big fan.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.
Bren, are you going to hang out and
Kevin,
update us on the market? Do you have time?
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely I'd be happy to.
Fantastic.
Yeah, the Rate Insights product is a lot of fun. Was a lot of fun for us to build, and it truly was, because it's just a better version of data that you have to have in order to move freight. You need it. So happy to do it. So
before you start, I kind of right now we're going to go over the overall market, and you'll touch on some specifics, but that's still very general in terms of what's going on with rates. But that's important. It gives us all kind of that mindset of, okay, here's where rates are, here's kind of where they're heading overall. But I want to stress the importance when we talk about these overall rates. There are tens of thousands of exceptions, right? Here's the average, but then there's these loads that are paying significantly more than the average, significantly less than the average. So we look at the averages and the big picture. So we get a feel for the market itself. But then the tool we just talked about is going to give you real-time data on the load that's important to you or the lane that's important to you right now today.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everything, when you deal with a supply and demand marketplace, you need to generalize. Here's where to start data. Like, for instance, on the dry van segment, it was $1.92 average, and it dropped to $1.86 this week. So it's down. That's down 6 cents. But that's just the posted rates on the platforms. So there's negotiation and everything. And if you're not negotiating, then you are leaving opportunity for more profit on the table. So it's one of those things where it's just important for you to understand that. So when you look at the overall marketplace, presently right now, week to week, it dropped a few cents. It went from 223 to 221, so it dropped 2 cents. Dry van was down, flatbed was down, and refrigerator down. All three of them were down a few pennies week over week. Part of that was because fuel dropped a penny. So it went from 44 cents to 43 cents. So you're going to see a drop in rates just in general. So in reality, it was kind of somewhat the same week to week. But as I said before, and I just appreciate I appreciate having an economist on staff that talks to me about this, because in the spot market, every load is independent, up to you to negotiate it. And but overall, the freight was about the same week to week. It's still a time. It's like 5%, 6% below normal. The volumes of the market. But here, this was interesting. So I tracked the entire marketplace for volumes of freight, because it's all related. There's not two separate marketplaces.
Right.
It's all one market.
Right.
One of the big reporters of data out there is CAS, the CAS index.
Yeah.
That's basically contract freight. Well, their overall quarter over quarter, the rates have continued to kind of come down in the contract marketplace. But what's interesting is the last 4 weeks, freight volumes have crept up by like 0.5%, 1%, 0.75%. So the freight volumes are continuing to increase, even though we're still sort of what's kind of referred to in economics as modulating, which means it's just kind of going down a little bit, coming up a little bit, going down a little bit, coming up a little bit, waiting for sort of the holiday season to get kicked off. But in general, I just left a big conference in Indianapolis, FTR Intelligence. They're the big forecasting company in this industry, and basically said they're not pessimistic, they're not optimistic that much will change. They're just like, okay, things are probably going to stay about the same. And so when you look at why are things staying the same? Well, the U.S. economy is just kind of like moving along at maintenance rate, a little bit over 1% to somewhere in 2% growth. And so you just look at those things, and then there's some concern on what'll happen if the Federal Reserve, people that kind of maintain our, what's our lending rates going to be? Are they going to lower the lending rates even? Are they going to do any lowering of lending rates? Because they pushed the lending rate, they let the lending go high. They did that so they would offset inflation some. When inflation's kind of come back down to start getting to more in the downward curve to a normal range, not normal. It's on a downward decline back down to maybe somewhere in the, going towards the range it was prior to the pandemic. And so that gives the Federal Reserve sort of some confidence that maybe they can lower rates.
Hey,
and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I want to address that just because the way this gets reported a lot makes me a little crazy, and I want people to understand what that means, because that is a true statement. The media uses it a lot. The rate of inflation is coming down.
Right.
What people misunderstand when they hear that is we had high inflation for several years. We're not going back to where we were. We're just not accelerating as fast anymore. The growth rate of inflation is coming back to normal. All the inflation we had over those several years is now baked into everything we pay for. We're not going back to 2020 prices.
Your prices aren't coming down to what you're paying for a hamburger at Ruby Tuesdays.
Right.
It's not coming down.
They're just not going up
because labor cost has gone. Because labor cost is not going to come back.
Right. So,
I
was just thinking about something while you said that. I think there's another couple of data points that we need to report on. So let me preface this.
Okay.
One of the reasons I love hanging out with you and having you on the show, and I don't know anybody who has a better big picture perspective of everything that goes on in our industry than you. And I say that because this is what you do day in and day out.
Right.
Not just you hit almost every group and conference that has anything to do with transportation at all. Things we don't even think about here. So I'm thinking that we should be reporting how many conferences you attend a year and how many miles you put on airplanes.
You know what? I've never tracked that. I probably should.
I think you should.
And I appreciate you saying that. You know, what's interesting is people do ask me all the time, why do you go to so many things? And I go, because the truck stop customers, move everything, and they need to have like visibility into what's happening in the shipper market, what's happening on Wall Street, what's
Right.
happening within maritime industry, what's happening within what's happening in air cargo, what's happening on rail. All these things feed into the most dynamic and the most important market, which is the trucking market, because 80% of freight moves by truck in the United States. And so it's just it's my job to make sure that we as a business are able to really understand that and help build products and communicate it back out to customers so they can run their business. Yeah, you know what's funny? I'll do that. I'll do a little
You should.
ad hoc. How many miles did I travel this year?
Yeah.
And how many conferences? It's like, I don't know, 40 conferences or something like that. I don't know. It's a bunch.
Yeah. So I think we should report on that. And then I'm going to throw one more thing out there. Not only do
What
you
you got?
spend all this time at these conferences, and conferences
Yeah.
they're like information overload. So there's sessions, there's
For sure.
keynotes there, but you're also talking to people the entire time you're at a conference, because that's why everybody's at the
Yeah.
conference. So the amount of
Right.
information that you take in every year on so many different areas is incredible. But now you've kind of taken that to the next level. I want to encourage people to go listen to your podcast, Freight Nation, because
Oh, well, thank you.
now
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah.
all of those contacts you make at all of these conferences, you're now bringing them on as guests. And if you want to learn
Right.
the whole big picture of what's going on in the logistics world, you should go listen to Brent's podcast, because he's interviewing all these people that you may not even realize affect the freight world, but they do.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah, it's interesting. I was just had a guy on Dan Doran, who owned Ace Doran Hauling, and he talked about what was it like working with his father, and the family owned 1,000 trucks before
I
deregulation,
was just going
going
to ask
through
you that.
going through deregulation, and then how it changed the business, and then how it changed again, and then he took it over, built it up, and then got to today's market and realized he's going to have a very hard time creating more success with it, and sold it to somebody. So it's just really the perspective. And I'll tell you another really interesting perspective, and then I got to run. I got to get to the TIA board meeting. Interesting thing. I was at FTR, and they had four big, really big carriers on stage, and these are carriers that own brokerages. And so one of these big carriers said that they were being because of the current difficulty with fraud in the marketplace, they were being very, very selective about their core carriers that they were using, the owner operators that they were using to move their freight, and that they had reduced the number of carriers they had in their database that were even authorized to haul a piece of freight if they offer it to them.
Wow.
To the tune of they removed this. Kevin, dig this. They took out over 50% of them.
Whoa.
And they just said, I know, they just said, look, if you hadn't had this many years, you hadn't hauled, and this was another big thing. So they removed about 50%, but this was another big thing. If you're not hauling at least 5 or plus more loads a year for them, they don't want to use you, because it comes back to trust and relationship.
I like that.
And so, yeah, I'm just, this marketplace, and this is really important for owner operators as they start to continue to negotiate, this idea of knowing your customer. And remember that the broker is your customer. And if you do business with the shipper, they'd be your customer too. But that broker is your customer. So know your customer and what their needs are. And, and then business is easy.
I love that. All right, Brent, we will let you go. I know you got a lot
Hi,
to
buddy.
do today. Tell everybody at TIA we said hey.
I will do it, my brother. Talk to you soon. Thanks,
All right.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for what you do for helping owner operators, buddy.
Take care. Thanks. Talk to you soon. All right, let's get to some phone calls. It's time for our Monday free for all. Hey, I'm not promising anything, but depending on what Joel Morrow is doing right now at the moment, he may be busy, but he did some man on the street reporting. He went down and spent some time in Springfield, Ohio, and has a different take than what you're seeing in the media. So he said he might try to call in and summarize that. So we'll see if that happens or not. I'll stay here as long as you've got questions, or until about 10 minutes to 11 today because I have another podcast that I'm a guest on. It's the regular monthly spot I do with David Owen at Nastic. So I'll stay here till we run out of questions or until just a little before 11. That's Pacific time today. So 855-950-3835 or hit that call now button on your app and we'll get to your calls. Let's get started in San Antonio today. Mark, welcome.
Hey, Kevin, how are you today, my brother?
Doing good. What can I help you with?
All right. I leased back in 1921. I leased a truck in 2021.
Okay.
And a 2022 Freightliner. My payments are $748 a week. Well, technically, my payments are $648, but I kicked in an extra $100 because I have a balloon payment of $44,000 at the end of this. So the lease went 206 weeks, which I'm coming up at the end of this now, and it's time to buy out the truck. I have a few options. First option is I just have them check for the remainder of the $44,000. I can give back this truck, and I get roughly $22,000 back to me, and go get another truck. So I'm just trying to figure out what's the best thing. I thought about carrying out the payments longer.
Oh boy. All right. So I'm going to have to take my time on this one because I'm trying to run a bunch of numbers through my head. So let me ask you some questions so we can start calculating this the right way because this is an important decision and it's really just going to be based on the numbers. So you were we're just going to say it was $3,000 a month, $748. I'm not going to worry about the extra right now. So we're $3,000 a month. How many months was the original lease?
206. Months or weeks?
Months.
That would be a 20.
So if it was was it 206 weeks?
Correct, which works out to 4 years, right? 52 times 4.
52. Wait. 206 weeks. Well, that's 1 year. That's 52 months. Is that right? Are you sure?
No. Yeah, it works out. Yeah, it's 206 weeks lease.
Oh, okay.
Lease
So
was.
that's 50. All right. Now 206 divided by, all right. So 4 years?
4 years. Yep.
4 years. Almost.
And I'm at the.
Yeah.
And,
So.
and I'm at the end now.
All right. So. 48. All right. So the truck overall, if you were to just pay out all the payments and then the $44,000, you would have been paying about $190,000 for the truck. That's not
Correct.
That's
Give or
not
take.
a horrible deal based on the price of trucks today and the interest rate. Sometimes I see these are so outrageous. Now, here's what I need to understand, and I want to make sure I'm understanding this right before I give you an answer. When will you make your last payment? If you just continue the way you're going.
But the end calls for, I think it's January 10th. I have to either give them $44,000, roll up the payments so that I can carry it out for another 16 months.
Wait.
After January.
Wait, stop. This is why I'm getting confused. So on January 10th, you said I have to give them $44,000. I get that. But then you mentioned more payments. Why are there more payments?
Because I can take the $44,000 and spread it out into payments.
I see.
Months.
I see. Okay.
Right.
So they're
right.
giving you an option to finance this post payment. Okay, so that helps. So we owe 44,000. If we wanted to buy it, you're going to have to give them 44,000 for a 2022 Freightliner. Now, that seems like a pretty darn good deal for me. I don't think we can buy too many 2022s right now at 44,000. How many miles are on this truck?
484,000 and some change. I have it on profit gauges, and I just started putting my data into it.
Okay.
There's only like a month and a half worth of data in it, and I just started tracking and on that. So
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
This seems like a really reasonable price as far as a buyout, and that's what matters. All we really care about is what is this truck worth on the open market, and I'm assuming I could go do some quick numbers, but I think this is a really reasonable price for this truck with this many miles. And there's another bonus. I'm willing to pay at least 10% more for a truck that I've been driving all this time, rather than just some random truck out on the market, because we know a lot about this truck now. But you said something else that I want to make sure I understand. If you were to walk away from this deal, they would give you 22,000. Is that correct?
Correct. That's the money that I put aside in doing an extra.
So okay,
from the payments that I've actually gave them money.
So
so that way I wasn't getting slammed with the 44,000.
Right. So I want to make sure I have this part clear. If you don't walk away, they keep that 22,000, and you have to give them 44 more.
No.
That's why I want to make sure I understand this.
No.
So technically, you only have to come up with 22,000 to buy out the truck.
Correct, and it's actually less than that. I only have to write them a check for like 12. I think I ran the numbers last week. It was 12,300 and like $87.
Oh, so then that's pretty simple. Then you would be crazy not to buy out this truck.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But hear me out, because they came at me and they said, "Hey, look, would you like a brand new truck?" Because they got plenty of them.
No. No. Don't
do it.
No.
Okay.
Was I clear enough?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Do not. You have a 2022 truck. This thing will last you 10 years easy. Why would we go back into debt again just for a couple more years of a newer truck? Absolutely not worth it. They make a lot of money leasing trucks. That they just do. I don't want to get into all the numbers, but that's why they're going to encourage you to get another truck. They make more money. They could go then lease this one to somebody else or sell it on the open market and make money on that. Do not give up all the equity you have built into this truck.
All right, so at minimum, pay off the truck, keep it. Then if I want to go get a newer truck, go get a newer truck. So that's what I was thinking.
But why would you want to go get a newer truck? What would be the advantage?
Okay, this is the way I'm looking at it, okay? Let's just say hypothetically I go on out and we're just throwing some rough numbers. Because when I look at this, when everybody says, "Oh, you're in a lease truck, you're paying a lot of money," if I take the 480,000 months of driving, I'm well over 500,000 miles on my truck at that point. If I took all the money, the $190,000, and divided that by, say, 500,000 miles, it works out that I only paid 3.4 cents a mile to operate a brand new truck. Now, the upside of me doing that again is the support I got. If my truck goes down, I get a loaner truck. On top of that, I turn around and I get another 500,000 miles worth of warranty.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Tell me right now, in the first 500,000 miles of this truck, how many times did you use the warranty and how much did it cover? Dollar-wise?
Nothing, not a penny.
Never. Why do you put value on something that you just experienced and you got zero value out of it? Your warranty wasn't worth the piece of paper it was printed on. And yet you want to go double down and do it again. That makes no sense.
Yeah, that'd be kind of insane. That makes it insane, huh?
Yes, you put some big value on something that when I asked you actually was worth zero. I thought maybe a couple $1,000s, maybe somewhere. But here's the thing. Honestly, these trucks, if we spec them right, drive them right, they just don't break down all that often. Warranties for me are like number 10 on the list of helping me make a decision. I never even get to the warranty because it's that meaningless to me. What you have now, you just said it cost you 3 cents a mile to operate a new truck. Well, if you keep this one, your cost goes to zero.
It goes to zero. But see, this is what I worry about. So when my truck hits 5, and they called me the other day, they offered me the next generation or next gen Detroit warranty on my motor. They said if I give them $5,700,
Mark.
They take it to 700,000.
Mark, we just determined that your warranty in 500,000 miles was worth zero, but you want an upgraded warranty for some reason.
I just worry about. Oh, sorry. I worry about the motor.
Yeah, and Matt just did something and I'm going to come back to the motor in a second. But Matt just did something for me, and I'm glad he did because my mind was somewhere else, but I didn't think the number was right. $190,000 at 500,000 miles is 38 cents a mile, not 3.
Oh, sorry, 38. Okay.
Yes.
So I did the math wrong.
Yes. So now that's payment. So now when you pay off this truck, 38 cents a mile goes into your pocket. Sure, maintenance costs are going to go up a little bit, not much. Your next 500,000 miles on this truck probably aren't going to cost you much more in maintenance than the first 500,000 did. And yet you still want to convince me that you're going to do this because you want an updated warranty. Here's what you want. You just want another new truck.
I do, but I don't. But now that I just put that 38 cents in there on 150,000 miles, which I know I can run every year because I've done it so far, that's $57,000 in my pocket.
Yes.
And if I take that for four years, that's over $200,000 goes right in the retirement fund.
Right. Or put the first 50,000 into a savings account because you're worried about an engine. But we could buy you a new engine and put it in the truck for that. And here's the thing. The odds of you having some sort of major engine problem on this truck are really, really slim. That's why I'm not a big fan of warranties. Pay off very often. Hey, I'm going to bring somebody in, and I think he's been listening to this. Joel, do you have any input here?
Yeah, skip the idea of the warranty. You're spot on. My brother doesn't even do the extended warranties and stuff in his fleet. He said that exactly like you did. They just don't pay.
They don't. You can run the numbers all day long. The OEM makes more money off extended warranties than they make profit on the truck when they sold it.
Or they wouldn't be doing it.
That's right. That's right. And
so Joel, you're 100% spot on.
Joel, on a new truck, he's got a 2022 Freightliner. What are the odds that you're going to have some sort of major engine failure on this truck before I'm even going to say before 1.5 million miles today on these new engines?
Yeah, you're just not going to have an engine failure. You could potentially have emission system issues, but if you watch your idle, treat your fuel, you're not even going to have that. It's just something I wouldn't worry about.
Mark, I'm gonna make a statement here. And after I make this statement, if you talk one more time about buying a new truck, I'm going to hang up on you. Here's my statement.
That sounds fair.
All right. Yeah, I warned you. Here's my statement. You beat the odds. You did a lease purchase, which I absolutely hate. There's so many reasons not to do them. This one wasn't that bad. The numbers don't shock me at all on this. And you beat the game. And now you want to go play it again. Don't go play this game again. You now have a truck that is you've got years of service left out of this thing at very low cost, and your name is about to be on the title. That's a game changer. I can't believe I just said that. I hate that phrase. I hear it so much anymore. It got stuck in my head. Just pretend I didn't say that. Do you realize that right now, I'm going to make a statement, and I'm 99% sure I'm correct, that if this carrier wanted to take this truck back from you, they could.
Absolutely.
Your name is not on the
Absolutely. They
title.
could.
This is one of the biggest reasons I don't like lease purchase. Forget all the numbers, forget all the bullshit, forget all the other stuff. The fact that I could lose my business because the carrier just says, nah, we don't like this deal anymore. We're taking the truck back. I don't know how people sleep at night knowing that their business is at that much risk. You beat the odds, and now you're going to go back and try it again. Don't do it.
All right, I'll definitely won't do it. So, but I have one other thing, and we'll get off this subject. I actually got a couple of things. Your profit gauges and fuel gauges is so easy to use. I wish I would have done it from the beginning.
Well, thank you.
Because when I get like a profit and loss statement from ATBS, like it didn't dawn on me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then when I started
Yeah.
plugging numbers in and doing it myself, it made more sense.
Exactly.
To me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
That which is unbelievable.
Well,
all right,
Mark,
so,
I don't know if you know this or not, but I had an
Yep.
accounting company before ATBS was in the business. I still remember the first time I met Todd Amon, who started ATBS. I was doing a seminar at the first ever Dallas truck show. So we're probably talking 99, 2000, somewhere around there. He came up to me and said he was starting this accounting company. And I had made a statement that I was getting out of the accounting business and I was going into more financial planning. Eventually, they bought my company. And the reason
wow.
I used to do the accounting for people. And I got frustrated because we produced these beautiful reports with all this data about their business and they didn't understand it. And no matter how hard I tried to explain it to them, they just weren't getting it. And I realized in order to really understand it, you should be doing these numbers yourself. And that's when I started developing profit gauges and sold the accounting company because I think this is a better way.
Gotcha. All right. So November 1st is the earliest I can cut them a check. I am just going to pay them their, I think it was $12,387, and just grab the title. And
Yes,
that way, you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
I'm free at that point.
Absolutely. In fact,
Okay.
I know this might sound crazy. I would post date the check and send it to him now.
Okay. Wow. I can't believe I beat the odds.
You did. You
I
did.
beat the odds.
Congratulations. You
Beat the
did a
odds.
hell of a job on this lease. You have now put yourself in a very good position to have what I still consider a pretty darn new truck. You're under 500,000 miles and it's going to be paid off. Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate you. You all have a great one. And Kevin, you helped me out so much. You don't even know.
You're welcome. Thanks for putting up with the beating. Joel, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I hear you're starting a new business. You're now an independent journalist.
I'm going to be the man on the street, guy.
That's right.
I don't know. We had a good time though. It was interesting, educational, and I'm really glad I spent the time to do it. Learned a lot.
Yeah. So give us a rundown of. So first off, we obviously need better journalists because I read a lot of headlines. I cover a lot of topics. I try to dig in and verify some things, but there's some things I just assume that if they're reporting it, it must be accurate, except I can't even assume simple things.
Yeah.
The report that I have seen over and over and over is that Springfield, Ohio has a population of 58,000. You're telling me that's wrong? It's not even close.
Well, no. Springfield has 58,000.
Oh, okay.
Clark County has 134,000.
Oh, God.
And it's being reported that all of these immigrants went right into Springfield, and they are dispersed throughout Clark County.
Got it.
Now,
That's more
Clark
accurate.
County has 708 square miles with 134,000 people. 58,000 of them are in Springfield. So it's a rural county, very rural. Farmland, rolling farm. It is quintessential central Ohio farmland.
Got it. And these people were spread out throughout the whole county, not just in Springfield. Okay, that makes more sense.
Right. So I have seen on the news, first I heard it was 15,000. Then I heard it was 20. Now I'm hearing 40,000. And I just heard that on Fox News. I heard 40,000. Down there, I learned that there were 13,500 people distributed throughout the county. The majority of them are in Springfield, but there's some in the outlying areas. So it's not the amount of people, just overrunning the city, like 40,000 coming into a city of 58,000. That just is not happening.
Well, the first report.
So they really have blown the numbers there.
Right, and that matters, and that's where I assumed I was getting. Well, here's the other thing. We would think we'd be able to find the real data for this without all that much work. But why? Here's a question I have. When we have these, whatever they are, we could call them conspiracy theories, stories, whatever. When we have these that become this big, and we're hearing wildly different everything from each side, they're all spinning it to get their. Why doesn't the media, why don't we have some of the big mainstream media there saying, here's the truth. Here are the numbers. We got them from the census. Here are what the people are saying on the street. Let's at least hear from them. They live there. If they have what they claim to be some firsthand knowledge, why doesn't the media say, here's the real story? But what they tend to do is they just tend to either spin it from a distance and do the same thing the people on the internet are doing, just grabbing random numbers and stories. Why don't we have better reporting on this stuff? Why aren't the reporters doing what you did?
Well, from what I can see, or from what I saw there, the reporting on this is just horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible on both sides.
Right.
It's all spin. It's all bullshit from what I can gather. Now, maybe people were lying to me down there about but I saw stuff with my own two eyes. So if there were 40,000 Haitians in a town of 58,000, the second you hit the city limits, you would know it. This is Central Ohio. I was born and raised in Central Ohio. I know small town Ohio, and I can guarantee you if there were 40,000 Haitians in a town of 58,000, you would know it instantly. And it just was not the case. So I drove down every side street in that damn town, looking on porches, just up and down things. Did see an occasional Haitian, and we knew they were Haitians just because of the way they were dressed, very Caribbean. The women wearing the long, flowing, colorful dresses, and you could just tell.
Right.
So there was some, but it was not overwhelming by any means. Nobody seemed afraid. Everybody was out walking. Pets were out in the yard. One of the things that I heard was there are missing pet things on every telephone pole in Springfield. Didn't see one. Did not see a missing pet flyer anywhere. We went into laundromats. We went into the small stores, looking on the boards to see if anybody was missing. Nothing anywhere. We went into small gas stations, talked to people. Some of the locals are upset that there are some Haitians there, but the examples that the upset people give, they were identical person to person to person, like it was talking points. They didn't have any real individual interactions that really stood out to me to say, hey, that was horrible. Obviously, there's going to be some challenges when you bring in some people. It's culture shock. You are definitely going to have some issues. I think overall, though, things look pretty damn good down there. We went down to the park where they supposedly were hunting the geese and the ducks and eating them and whatnot. Talked to some people that were fishing in the little stream in the park, and they just shook their head and they said, nah, They said there was a guy around here was chasing geese around for a day, but no big deal. You we went into the Walmart and I was just kind of paying attention to everything. Heard rumors about, all the Haitians coming in and eating the food off the shelves and opening stuff. My better half was with me. She was talking to some of the employees. They said, yeah, it happened once or twice where they opened something and started eating it. They go, but that happens anyway. I just don't see I'm just shocked at how this is misreported in the national news. I mean, they just suck. They really do. They're just lying to people.
Sometimes I walk by the grapes in the grocery store and eat a couple of those.
Well, see, you would be a horrible person. I don't know. But it really wasn't that bad.
Let's think about this. On a whim, Friday, we were talking about this on the as a topic on the show, and you said, "Hey, I'm good over the weekend. I'm going to run down there and check this out," and you did. And this is the data we get.
Mm-hmm.
Think about all the news organizations we have today, all the cable channels, all the independents, all the newspapers that are left, the pundits. How hard would it be for any of them to go down and actually just report the truth to us?
It's just mind-boggling to me that they haven't done that. So one of the main things is everybody's complaining about how terrible of drivers they are. And so I started pushing some people on this. We asked some questions and we talked to some people, and I got online and went back through some newspaper articles that were online. And it seems last year in December, a 71-year-old man was walking across the street early morning, took his garbage out. It was completely dark. There was no street light, and a Haitian hit and killed the guy. The guy that was hit and killed was actually in the wrong, according to the State Highway Patrol. He was illegally crossing the street or whatever, wrong crossing or whatever it was. And they did not charge the Haitian. That pissed a lot of people off, it seems. And that was kind of the genesis, I think, for this whole they can't drive. And then there was the school bus accident where a Haitian hit a school bus. Don't know the details of that. So everybody down there says the same thing. Oh, they can't drive. It's horrible. It's horrible. So I went and I looked up the accident rates. Now, they don't have it for 24, but I compared 22 to 23, and they were here in 23. Accidents went down from 22 to 23 by 300. Which is a pretty sizable amount. The accidents so I can't find any evidence. Now, maybe the 24 numbers might spike back up, but I just didn't see any of this stuff they're talking about in the media.
Yeah, here's the problem. Even if the numbers spike back up or drop again, we're never going to know it. Here's what I don't understand. So everything now is split down political lines. It's not even a stretch to say that the left, is claiming that they're there, but it's not a problem. We've got employers saying, no, look, they're great workers. We couldn't get enough people to work. There's that side of the story, and that's mostly left. Then we have the right that thinks we're being overrun all over our country. And we do know the southern border's open. They've brought a lot of people in that shouldn't be here. These people, technically, from what I understand, they're not illegal immigrants. We have a program that we brought them in. So those are the two sides. Why isn't anybody just reporting the truth? Why do both sides seem to have some agenda in spinning it? You would think the liberal media, because the media is liberal, we know that by far they're more liberal than. Why aren't they there proving this? They would seem to be the ones that would be there saying, look, here's the evidence. Here are the real numbers. This is just not happening. Why aren't they doing that?
Right. They should be. I mean, they really should be. It's disappointing. Look, I come from Ohio. We were brought up very conservative. I'll tell you right now, I don't lean towards either political party anymore. I don't have a dog in a fight in this election. I don't think a bad choice or the best of a bad choice on either of the candidates is a choice at all. And I'm not voting for either one of them. I'll tell you that right now. Just not going to. I don't like either one of my choices, and I'm just not going to vote. But what's being done on this coverage is just They're just absolutely lying to you. Now, I am sure you can go down and you can find some bad actors down there. There is no doubt. But even if the Haitians weren't there, you're going to find some bad actors in Springfield, Ohio.
Well, of course.
That's going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
It is not the battle zone. It is not the look, all the domesticated pets, they're being barbecued. That's not happening. It's just not.
I will say,
we talked to a ton of people. We went to a ton of places, and I don't even want to turn on the news anymore. I don't even want to listen to it because I think it's all bullshit.
Well, I turned off
it's crazy.
The TV news a long time ago. Really don't watch that hardly ever. I prefer to get my news from headlines that I read. I can dig a little deeper. I get a lot of my news from X, but even that anymore, you have to wade through so much bullshit from both sides to try to get to what the real truth is. And is it just that they absolutely want to create this big divide in our country? I mean, that seems to be the only reason I can come up with why neither side will absolutely report the truth, is that this keeps us all fighting each other.
Sure, the political parties, that's what they want, and then the traditional news media, they want to sensationalize even the weather to get people to watch.
Right.
So they get something like this, they're really going to sensation. Otherwise, this is a non-issue, and who the hell's going to watch?
Right.
They got 24/7. They got to fill that space up somehow. And if they can say, "Oh, these Haitians are coming in and eating everybody's animals," people are going to watch that.
Yeah.
But I am telling you, that is not. Look, could somebody down there maybe killed a cat and ate? I suppose it could have happened, but it's not happening en masse. It just is not. We went into that park. They had the Haitian kids down there. They were playing soccer. There were a bunch of people playing tennis. There were a bunch of people fishing. Everybody was commingling down there. Nobody was afraid. They didn't have, SWAT out patrolling, and it wasn't martial law or anything like that going on. I drove down into the bad section of town. We went through the affluent sections of town. It was Springfield, just like I know Springfield to be. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it is, and we certainly appreciate you doing that. And Joel, I think I read too much news, and I get so deep into some things that I get blinded to some of this. And I do appreciate you bringing me back to reality a lot of times, saying, "No, stop, think about this." I want to know the truth. I don't want to believe things that aren't really true. And I want to get down to the details, because details matter. And that's how they spin this. The best lies are the lies that have some truth to them. And that's what they do. They give us a little bit of truth. So now, okay, that seems real because I know this is true. And they just said that. So now I trust the next thing they tell me. And many times that's just pure spin.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing about this, Henry really had an interest in this, and he called me several times. When are you going to be down there? When are you going to be down there? I said, I'm going down this weekend. He goes, well, call me right after you get down there. He goes, I want to know. He lives on a border town. Right. And he said, they're doing the same thing down here. He said, are there issues? Yes. But he said, is Laredo the war zone they make it out to be? He said, I live here, and it's not.
So here's why this, and
it's troubling.
It's starting to dawn on me how this works and what they're doing. Because I'm going to say the same thing about the border that I just said about Springfield. Most of what we're seeing is coming from the right, and it's from independents or individuals. And when we talk about the border, the only mainstream news organization that put a focus on the border was Fox. And when I would watch it, I would see the drone flights, and I would see these lines and masses of people. That's not faked. Yep. We know that. We know that there were thousands of them. And so that's what we see, and I see it over and over and over. Now, because I do want balance, I will, when I leave a story like that was reported on Fox or Newsmax or a more conservative organization, then I'll go to watch MSNBC and CNN, And I don't see them arguing that it's not happening. I just see them ignoring it. Why aren't they on the border telling this story? That's what makes me crazy and makes me start to believe the right, because they're showing me what's happening. Where's the counter to that? The other organizations just ignore these stories.
Sure. No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I don't understand why, there's not more equal coverage of all this, especially what's going on down in Springfield.
Yeah,
you would think, and I'm not a real liberal person, but you would think liberal media would be camped out in that town everywhere.
And showing what you just described. Look, we're in the park.
Yes.
There's plenty of geese. There's ducks. There's dogs running around. There's Haitians and Americans, and everybody's getting along. And it's normal life in Central Ohio.
Yeah.
Why aren't they showing that every day?
It's just amazing that they're not. I can't figure it out. I don't understand why they're not doing that. It's like they're sitting in New York or in LA or wherever they're at in their newsrooms, and they're just surfing the internet, and they're looking for sensational stories, and they're saying, "Oh, look, somebody ate a dog in Springfield. Let's run with it."
Right.
And that's what they're doing. It looks like to me. I mean, if they're not, you're going to have to show me.
Right. That's what I mean.
Because literally, I bet you I put on 200 miles just driving around that little town, up and down all the little side streets, just looking at everything. And there's pets in the yard. There's just, it's normal town.
Why? I don't understand why we're not seeing that on the media. The only conclusion you can come to.
Now, here's what I could have done. I suppose I could have looked and looked and looked and found some outrageous situation and then just focused on that and said, look how horrible it is down here, and forgot about the 99% of the town I drove around that was normal.
Well, that's
I probably could have done that, but
that's what's happening to us, I think. You have one side that will point out what they want you to see and hear and not cover any of the exceptions. Then we have the other side that just ignores the story. So it makes you start to believe the people who are showing me what's happening must be right, but they're not most times.
Well, in this instance, they're not. I without actually going to these other places and verifying it, I honestly can't say. But I can tell you in Springfield that this is not the debacle that a lot of conservative reporting is making it out to be. I am sure they have some challenges in that town. There is no doubt.
Right.
13,000 people in a county with 130. That's about a 10%.
That's
increase in population for that county. That's big,
right?
But it's manageable.
Right.
There is no doubt. And all of the things that people are saying, this if you're a student of history. When the Irish came over, when the Italians came over, when when we had the waves, all the same stuff. They said the exact same stuff.
Yeah. No, I
so shit, here comes the Irish. This neighborhood's going to hell. All they do is drink. That's all they do.
Bunch of damn.
And this is basically what you're hearing. Down there, they're upset that and look, there are always going to be challenges associated when you bring in, especially with the cultures that different.
Yeah,
there are going to be some challenges. There's no doubt. But this is not mass hysteria and. Well, it is not what's being described on TV.
We know all the Italians were in the mafia.
Of course, every one of them.
Right.
Every one of them. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So we have
and every Irish person drinks too, right?
That's
That's the way it goes.
That's right. We have our next assignment for you, and now I'm wondering why you and your employees seem to be centered in the hot spots. Maybe there's something to this. Because now I'm looking at this report and it's being filmed. Is this a video that I sent you? Yeah, it is a video. I never got a chance to watch the video. I don't know if it matters or not. But here's the headline, and this is in Colorado. So Alex out there, he needs to go investigate this. It says. An American trucker was threatened with a gun and forced to pay a Venezuelan gang to park at a truck stop on American soil, while those who refused to pay faced consequences. Well, what consequences? What actually happened here? Because I'm having a hard time imagining that I'm a truck driver and I pull into a truck stop, somebody pulls a gun on me and tries to extort money off of me, and shouldn't the next incident to happen that the cops should be there investigating that?
Exactly. Let's get a more vague story and throw it out there that you can't check it, you can't fact check it, you can't do anything. And of course, it's going to get a bunch of us blue collar types all pissed off because, oh, here come these son of a bitches up from South America and they're robbing us in the truck stops. Absolutely, that's going to make every truck driver in the United States mad.
And
but did it really happen? And after seeing what I saw, I'm not so sure that even really happened. It's hard to say.
That's my point. And not only they also, whoever does this stuff is pretty, I don't know if I want to say smart or just sneaky, or let's touch on a hot button topic in trucking, parking. Let's throw that into the story. This is all about parking, because we've all been talking about, there's not enough parking. And now all of a sudden we have foreigners who are going to try to charge us to park our truck on a truck. Yeah, that's going to get people pissed off really quickly. And like you said, I have no way to verify anything in this story.
Right.
But if I were a journalist, no matter where I work, CNN, Fox, Independent, whatever, when you see this start to become a pattern, why wouldn't you be there proving or disproving this?
I agree with you. And look, I'm sure as soon as I hang up here, you're going to get 15 people call in and go, oh, no, I know somebody that lives there and this and this and this is happening. All I'm telling you is what I saw. I drove down virtually every damn road in that town and saw no real evidence for any of the things they're claiming that are happening on a widespread scale. We talked to kids at the high school. We went to the high school. There was a bomb threat, and it had closed the high school due to a bomb threat, not because of the Haitian overloads. We talked to some high school kids, and they all seemed to be cool with it. I mean, nobody seemed super upset about anything. It wasn't, nobody was afraid. Nobody seemed to be making fun. I mean, maybe they're making fun of the Haitian kids. I don't know. I didn't personally see it. There were several Haitian kids at the high school. They were kicking a soccer ball around, and we talked to them for a minute to the degree that we could. And they seem to be cool with everything. We really went to all the places that you would, find people hanging out every day, and we talked to a lot of people, and I just did not get that feel. And like I said, I was brought up in small town Ohio. I know what small town Ohio feels like and looks like.
Well,
I know what it feels like and looks like, and it looked like small town Ohio. It felt that way too. It really did.
I'm going to challenge you to see which one of us had more of a small town Ohio experience. So I grew up in a town at the time when I was going to school. I had about 2,000 people. We had 3 elementary schools that fed into 1 junior high and 1 high school. And the only, and this is not an exaggeration, this is the absolute truth. In high school, when I graduated, the only person I can remember who wasn't just, a white American, I don't know how else to say that, was one girl whose mother was Asian and her father was American. And she was exotic in our school because she was so different.
Sure.
Not a single black, not a single Hispanic, nobody from some island nation. And I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just describing what small town Ohio is like.
Right. This is what it is, because I have you beat, actually. So population, Monroeville, Ohio, 1,400. We graduated, I think, 27 boys in my graduating class. It was white. 90% of them were German.
Oh, wow.
And if you weren't German, I mean, it was bad.
Right. Right.
So, we had high school, the middle school, the elementary were all connected right in the center of town. That's how small my town was. So I got a good feel for this stuff. I lived it. And you're right. I mean, look, it was the time we came up in, and everybody was white in those towns. And if somebody was brown or black came into that town, everybody just stared. It's just the way it was,
right?
You know, and everybody started whispering, and that's how life was. And if you know what, I think in Monroeville, I don't know that there's anybody brown or black in that town at all. I don't know. I'd have to drive back through, but we went from 1,400 to 1,500 people over 30 years. So, you know, 100, I guess.
My little town kind of exploded. So, but, you know, I did not experience people from other countries, other cultures, other ethnicities. I just didn't experience it growing up because we never went on vacation. So I spent most of my time right there in that little town or in the county, you know, didn't get that far out of it. So I didn't experience until I went to the military. And then it was the exact opposite.
Sure.
The military is probably one of our biggest melting pots in our country. And I immediately, day one, was exposed to a whole new bunch of cultures and people that I had never experienced. I found it interesting. I thought, what the hell have I been missing my whole life? I've been surrounded by people who are exactly like me and think like me and act like me and live like me. And now all of a sudden I'm exposed to this whole new world of people and cultures. And to me, they're just all human beings. But it was
so. Yeah, I got to thinking about that and almost the terms you're outlining right now. So I got to thinking, if we would have dropped 1,400 people in Monroeville, if we would have dropped 14 Haitians in Monroeville in 1979, I just couldn't imagine how awful that would have been.
You might have had riots.
How completely awful. Oh, it would have been.
Right.
Oh, my God.
Right.
It would have been awful. So we have made a lot of progression in this country, but, you know, we still got a lot of this bullshit that, you know, it floats around in these little towns still. It still does. And a lot of that, I think, is just kind of maybe racism driving some of this bullshit that's getting started and it's growing out there, unfortunately. But I guess people just need to know it's not what is being reported on through some of the conservative media. It's just not. We're not losing our way of life, and we're not being overrun, and it's not horrible like they're making it out to be.
Well, now I have something I can push back on you. It's not happening the way they're describing it, but we are losing our way of life. Not because, you know, people of a different color came into our country. That has nothing to do with it. We're losing our way of life because what we're describing with the media and the elites and it feels like our entire life is a psyop now. Like we can't believe anything anymore.
Right, and that's more technology and big media and stuff driving our way of life changing. Not the people. I think the people, we all have more in common than we do differences. And turn and look at big media and technology and go, you ain't doing this shit anymore. We'd be much better off, but that's not going to happen because we all get in our little groups and our, you know, and we want to fight amongst each other over stupid bullshit that doesn't amount to a hill of beans. But, you know, I'm old enough where I can remember living in Central Ohio in the late 70s, early 80s. And now when I compare it as I drive throughout the country now, Ohio today feels more like New Jersey did back in the 70s or 80s. Right. You know what I mean?
You know,
and
absolutely.
Back then, as I travel westward now and you get out west, you know, 1979 Central Ohio feels like the middle of Nebraska today.
Right.
And, you know, things change, things move, it gets different. You know, we get population shifts and things are always going to change. And change is never a bad thing. You know, some people miss the way certain things were. And there were probably some good times back then, but there was a lot of bad shit too. Because like I said, if you would have dropped 14 Haitians in the middle of Monroeville, that would have been a very, very bad situation for no damn good reason.
You may have had a lynching.
Oh, I listen. It's painful to say it, but you're probably right. That's probably what would have happened.
Right. And, I always think back to how did we create the greatest society in the history of the world at one point? I think we've gone beyond now and we've got some struggles, no doubt. But how did we do it? Yeah, and first off, it was our Constitution. I believe it was the way we set up the government that made this country very different in a lot of ways. Second, though, I believe that our diversity was what made us so strong. You talked about the Germans came in, the Irish came in, the Italians came in. Everybody wanted to come to America. And I
Yep.
believe that made us
Yeah.
stronger. There are differences. I'm not saying we're all the same, but we're all humans. And our
Right.
differences shouldn't
Yep.
separate us. What are Germans known for? It-
Sauerbraten.
yeah, keeping the trains running on
Fight
time.
wars.
Well, keeping the trains
Yeah, there
running
you
on time.
go. Engineering. Yes.
They are precise, disciplined people as a group overall. That's something you could say about them. Well, that's important.
Yep.
I got to stick up for
Sure.
the Irish. I know it's a little difficult, but I got a lot of Irish in me.
It,
When you
yeah.
get done, when you get done being so serious and engineering things and making sure the trains run on time, you need to have a little fun too. So the Irish have pubs.
Come on down to the pub, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah, there
Irish
you
have
go.
pubs. So let's go have a pint. We
Yep.
all brought something different, and that was powerful, I think, and we've forgotten that now. And I believe it's because the media and the politicians just want us fighting constantly.
Yeah, we're much easier to control when we're divided.
Yeah.
When we're saying, "Oh, look at that Haitian," and they're going, "Oh, look at that white guy over there." That kind of division. It's
Right.
great for special interests. They make a fortune. They're the only people that profit off it. Are special interest groups that represent the special interest of each little group.
Yeah.
It gives them
Yeah.
a lot of power and a lot of opportunity to make money. It keeps the politicians in power, and both sides do this. It's not one side or the other. They both do it, and it's our own stupidity, I guess, that we
Yeah.
keep letting them do it.
It
But
is.
we do.
All right.
We do it every election. We keep letting these people do it, and it is what it is.
All right, Joel. I always try to find the silver lining in every situation. Um, here's what I found. Um, I don't like watching videos on the internet. I might be the only person in the world. Something about it that takes too long. Just give me the transcript. Let me read it. But I have to say that the one cool thing that came out of this, there are some really, really cool AI generated cat and dog videos. When they're all dressed up in tactical gear and their
There are.
puppies are marching on
Some of that shit
Springfield.
is really cool.
Those are
Yeah.
hilarious. I love those. So that's the
Yeah.
that's the one positive thing I can find out of all this.
Oh, Yep. Oh, and by the way, Kevin, just on another side note, you know how we talked about on Friday when I post fuel efficiency numbers, there's always that guy that, those loads are light,
I know
yada,
what you're
yada,
going to
yada.
talk about. I saw the
I
conversation.
posted
Oh
my
my
30-day
God.
with all the damn weights, every single weight on there.
Yes.
And this guy's like, "Whoa, when you get 50,000 in the box, where in the hell, who loads 50,000 into a van trailer?"
Well,
I
first
37
off,
years of pulling dry van freight.
not once.
I've never had 50,000 loaded in
Not
the box.
once.
Not once.
Not once. But
Like,
yet,
Jesus Christ, come on, dude, just stop it.
the statement is even dumber than that. It's stupider than that. Here's the thing. Let's say that, okay, you think we got to put 50,000 pounds in a van. Nobody ever does that. But if you did, we could calculate. I mean, there's a number out there, and it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
We could calculate how that would
and efficiency drop, right? Yeah.
You would still be killing it.
Yeah, I go from
right.
I go from 11.3 to 10.98.
Correct. Right. But he when he makes a statement like that, he wants to believe, when you hit that 50,000 pound mark, you're going to be back at 6.5 miles to the gallon like the rest of us. No, that's not even close to being true. And the comment is ignorant. Nobody pulls around 50,000 pounds in a van. But even if you did, we could show the numbers. Or here's another way to do this. Whatever your total weight was, 71,000 pounds, 68,000. I think you posted that the average van freight is 68,000 pounds
It's 68,000.
Right.
Yep.
So let's just turn
Yep.
this around. Whatever truck he's driving, tell us what your fuel economy is at 68,000 pounds gross.
Yeah.
Right? What's yours? It's certainly not 11.3. What is it? Oh, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely some interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But listen, I got to give a shout out to my guys though. You know, their 30, 60, 90 is all north of 11.
Fantastic.
The lifetime on that truck with 215,000 ish miles is at 10.57, which was better than what I initially projected that truck was going to do.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
I've really got my fingers crossed on this next one that we are going to legitimately break the 11-mile a gallon barrier for the lifetime, not
Nice.
just the 30,
Right.
60, or 90, but we're going to do it for the lifetime. And I'm going to have numbers that we're going to be able to verify that, you know, are correct. We're not playing games by not filling up on this
Right.
day and then only filling up so much on this day and making our 30 or 60 or 90 look a little better. We're going to always track it through telematics and through Fuel Gauge's app. That way we can verify that each is accurate and look at that lifetime total. That's what's important.
Absolutely.
So, but the guys have been doing a hell of a job. Connor is killing it, you know, new kid. And I think on his first week out, just in the legs that he drove, he was over 11 miles a gallon in the first week driving the truck.
Wow. That's just incredible.
Freaking awesome.
It is. That's
yeah.
One more thing before I let you go, because phone calls are piling up on me. I wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
this on Friday, and Friday just turned out to be such a crazy show. I saw last week sometime you posted you were looking for a driver. You still looking for people?
Part-time driver out in the Denver area right now. Depending on how my negotiations go with NHRA, I may need somebody with hazmat that can pass an in-depth background check as well. I'm still putting the bid together, you know, that have to have special insurances, and that's trying to find somebody to underwrite that is really a pain in the ass, but we're working on it.
Got it. So do you want to put a number out now in case somebody's interested?
Yeah, I mean, we can, you know what, we'll just throw my personal phone number out there, I guess. That would be the best thing to do.
Joel, I don't know
you
if
know,
I would do that.
On a part-time.
Here's why.
Okay.
Here's why. I'm afraid you will get bombarded with people that want to ask you questions about fuel mileage.
Yeah, you're probably right. And not that I would avoid them, but no, I am already overran with that stuff that I can't get back to all the people that send me stuff all the time. And I know they get upset when I can't, but I just physically can't. I've got so many people that hit me up. But let's just give my email out. Sure, and if you're interested, part-time, and this particular position, if you're in the Denver area, you're going to be home virtually every night. There's an occasional overnight thing, and it's kind of part-time, maybe 3/4 time. You know, Alec still needs to drive on occasion, and so it'd be a nice position for somebody that's, you know, wants to stay busy but doesn't want to kill themselves. So it's email is Joel, Joel, at Alpha, ALPHA, drivers with an S, dash, the letter T, the letter C.com.
Got it. And if people didn't catch that, you can always just rewind on the app and listen to it again. So, Joel, before I let you go, I'll just tell you the kind of comments I'm already getting. This makes me crazy. Why can't we just talk about things and not piss somebody off because they don't like what we might have said? I just think if we're all going to get to the truth, which is what I really want, this is how we have to do it. We have to be willing to say our side spins just as much as the other side. And the problem is that leaves us confused and not understanding. But here's the comment I got from somebody who follows me. It says, tell Joel to stick to
Mhm.
truck mileage. Why? Why can't we
Mhm.
just talk about this stuff? Come on. Sheesh.
It doesn't like what I had to say,
Right,
so of
right.
course.
So
And,
you
and
should just
look, I
shut
get
up.
it. I was disappointed myself that the reporting was that piss poor.
I-
I really was. I was
yeah,
really disappointed that it was that bad.
yeah. But it's like we don't like
You know,
what you say, so you should shut up. How did we get to this point?
you know that. Oh shoot! Well, all I'm doing is just telling y'all what I saw, and
Exactly.
I saw everybody out in their yards. It was a beautiful day. People were walking around. They were walking down the streets. Nobody seemed to be afraid. The people that we talked to didn't really seem to be afraid. Some were bitching and complaining. Other people really didn't care. It was not the issue that certain news outlets are making it out to be. And like I said, I am sure there are some issues down there that we didn't come across. I'm 100% sure of it. But how much out of the ordinary? I don't know.
That's the difference.
Don't know.
You were open to. You
Mhm.
expected something different than you saw. You were open to the fact that there still could be things going on that I'm not seeing. All you're telling us is the impression, if you spend a lot of time and you drove around the lot and you stop and talk to people, the impression is not what's being reported. We're not saying there isn't anything wrong here, or why can't you be open to the idea that it's not exactly like they're reporting it? If we had enough journalists doing what you just did, we would then know the truth. The problem is we just don't.
Right.
All right.
So it'll be interesting to see what the feedback is. I like I said, I'm sure the second that we hang up here, we're going to have 15 people, and that's bullshit because I know such and such that's down there, and 3 of his dogs were barbecued last night by the neighbor, and I'm sure we're going to get that, but we didn't see any of it. And
my cousin's sister-in-law's neighbor lost their cat, and I can prove it. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Joel, I got to get to some calls.
All righty, Kevin.
As always, talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. You have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Las Vegas. Ron, welcome.
Hey, Kevin. Great show today. I heard Brent on this morning, and I want to tell you about the OIDA cover, but I got it. It matched. Okay. Well, first of all, did you watch the debate?
No, I watched a couple of minutes of it and then decided it was so poorly done that it wasn't even worth watching.
I got to tell you something. You know how when I called about that, the shooting over there in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
And I said there was thousands of people that were just waiting to hear one word.
Yes.
And they'd know what to do. Okay. Donald Trump, when they brought up January 6th, he mentioned Ashley Babbitt. Okay. Now we'll go back to truckstop.com because I didn't meet Brent, but I talked to you and I talked to John for quite a while. But anyway, after I talked to you, I pulled my Dalai Lama gold vet out front and I had it loaded up with t-shirts, all individually wrapped, that I've been doing around here, Chinatown band shirts. And one of the shirts that I was giving away was a black shirt with a black print on the front and the back. And it said, Ashley Babbitt murdered January 6th, 2021. So anyway, now do you want me to do this live read for truckstop.com? I got this is what I got here.
All right.
I got the okay. This is why I called, because I heard you on there, and I get I'm a lifetime member of OIDA, so I get their magazine sent to me landline now, or landline, and Truck Stop has the back cover.
Okay.
I'll do a live read. Visit truckstop.com, OIDA, and discover a better, faster way to move freight and make more money. With every load, with every Load Board Pro, every haul is a power trip. Get the load you want, the load you deserve, and the flexibility to run your business your way. Powered by Load Board Pro, you're going places. How was that?
That was awesome.
Hey, that's all I had today.
Got it.
Wait.
All right.
I could have got. I do reality theories.
There you go.
That's what I'm done with all the conspiracy theories. I'm when I was up there at Matt's, that was my 70th birthday.
Hey.
And I got to tell you, when you're healthy at 70, you get a whole new attitude towards life.
Absolutely.
And like,
congratulations on that. You're beating the odds. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Ron, good stuff. I got to cut you loose. My calls are piling up on me, and I got to get out of here before 11 because I have another podcast, and it's one of my favorites. I love the way David and I do that podcast. David, if you don't know, if you've listened, you should know. He's the last person on earth that doesn't have a cell phone or a computer. And he doesn't have to fight with technology like I have to right now. My call
Ready
just
to
dropped.
connect. Click connect to show now. You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the Call-in Studio web interface. Audio recording is on.
All right, so I'm back. The people on the phone system can hear me again. I was just saying that David Owen has no technology whatsoever, no cell phone, no computer, no nothing. When he gets an email, his executive assistant prints it out, puts it in his inbox. He goes through his emails, he writes down his answers, gives them back, and she posts them. And the way we do the podcast is virtually zero technology. He picks up his office phone that's on his desk, and he calls me, and we start talking. And he has technicians in the background that hit a couple buttons and start recording it, and we just talk. It's just a conversation, and that ends up being the podcast. So we've been doing it every month. I really look forward to it. We usually blow through an hour pretty quickly. So I got to get to my calls so I can do that today. Let's go to Arkansas. Paul, welcome.
Howdy.
What's on your mind today?
Well, I want to chime in about Springfield, Ohio, because when they were reporting it, and it's like, they're not real good at math for a start. So I didn't believe half the shit they were talking about anyway, but the cat videos are cool. So.
Yeah, they are. And the puppy videos are pretty darn cute too.
Yeah. So they said the population of Springfield, Ohio was 58,000.
Correct.
And then they said there was 20,000 Haitians or immigrants there. So depending on who you listen to, they were saying that's 20%, that's 25%. Well, not the way I do math, because if you have 58,000 and you add 34.5%, which would put you at 78,000, that's about 20,000 people. So that's the way I learned to do math. You don't take the answer and then, oh, well, now a quarter of the people are.
Yeah, it's just more of the same of what Joel and I were talking about. Nobody really cares about the facts. Just throw out numbers. Just make stuff
Yeah.
up. It just get people enraged and keep them fighting. That's what this
Like I,
whole everything seems to be about is how many different ways can we divide Americans? Is it the trans
like I
issue? Is
said
it
to
the
you,
border
yeah,
issue? Is it the immigrants coming in? Is it crime? I mean, here's how crazy it is. We'll go back to the debate because I didn't watch this, but I read afterwards. And at one point, Trump made the claim that crime is up, and the inner, which is insane to me. I've never seen this before. Fact checked him on the spot and said that's not
yeah,
true. All the statistics show that crime is down. Well, no, the fact checkers were wrong. The fact checkers need to be fact checked because the government data
yeah,
clearly shows if you just go look it up, that crime is up significantly. So this is how
yeah.
bad it's become that the people claiming to do the fact checking are the ones who need fact checked the most.
Liar, pants on fire. So, like I said to you the other day, they just want to keep the chaos going.
That's it.
Whatever it is, keep the
They-
chaos going.
Chaos, hate, division, keep us all so occupied with our anger and our outrage that we can't really stop and try to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's
So
working.
last Friday, my dispatcher calls me, or one of my dispatchers, and he says, "Hey, we're not going to have any Volkswagens for you." So he says, "Well, there's another carrier that I used to work for frequently. Actually, about 50% of my loads were for that carrier." And he said, "They've got loads going to the Dallas-Fort Worth area." I said, "Okay, well, get one of them." Okay. So then I said, "Does he have anything posted going to Oklahoma?" And he's like, "Nah, but you could give him a call." And this is the very first load I've done this year that is not the carrier I'm leased to. It's not their own freight. So I think I set a record there for me.
Yeah.
First time I've not subhauled, because we're halfway into the 9th month before I got a subhaul load, which is pretty good going.
Yeah.
So I called this guy. I said, "Hey, stranger, apparently I'm going to do a load for you." "Oh, okay." And he asked where I was going. I said, "Dallas area." He said, "So do you want to go to that area?" I said, "Well, I'd rather go to Oklahoma, but I don't know if you got it." And he said, "Well, let me have a look." He said, "I can probably make something happen." So the load going to the Texas area was going to pay about $4,500. And he says, "I'll see what I can put together. I'll let you know." I said, "Well, just let the dispatcher know and I'll take care of it." Okay. So about half an hour later, he calls me back. "Yeah, I got your load. One stop, Oklahoma City area, 4,900. Okay, that'll work. Which puts me 40 miles from my house.
There you go.
And then about half an hour later, he calls me back and he says, "Well, your load's been changed, but I don't think you'll mind." He says, "You got 2 stops now. So I got to go to Tulsa and Oklahoma City area, but it pays 5,200. So it worked out pretty good."
There you go.
But
there you go.
he was like, I haven't even talked to that. I think I've talked to him once this year. So, but I just told him, I said, "Give me a full load, give me good money." I didn't even ask how much he was going to pay. I said, "You know me, I'll get there, I'll load it, I'll have damage-free, trouble-free delivery." He said, "I got you." And that's what he come up with. So relationships matter. So
Yeah, they do. Hey,
yeah. So
you know, I've been wondering if some of the things that I've been saying for a long time are catching on because people are getting it, or are they catching on because I just kept saying it? I have 2 examples today. Kind of interesting. You've been listening to the show a long time, right?
since August of 2007.
So not
I
long
may be
after.
your longest serving frequent caller.
Yeah, I think you are. Not long after I started the show, you started listening. That year,
Yep.
what did I say about Truck Driver Appreciation Week that year if you heard me? And if you didn't hear me that year, you would have heard me the next year. What did I say about it?
I don't remember, but I can guess it because I'm right there with you. I think it's horseshit.
It is. It's bullshit. It was made up in D.C. at the ATA with big carriers to try to, make it sound like they cared about drivers. And my point has always been, if you tell me you appreciate all 3 million truck drivers in this country, then you're lying and you don't appreciate any of them. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
If you appreciated the good drivers, you would point them out specifically and recognize and acknowledge them. You wouldn't do it as a group, because I can promise you not all 3 million truck drivers deserve recognition for being fantastic. Most of them suck, let's be honest. So
they can't color between the lines. They piss on your truck with standing off their step or whatever. Or take your hood off. Or
they follow too close. They drive like assholes. There's plenty of them out there. So it's always just outraged me that you recognize all truck drivers as though they're all superheroes. That's just bullshit. Now the shocking thing is, this is the first year I've seen this. I'm seeing podcasts all over the place talk about this. I'm seeing posts about it all over social media. It seems like there's an awful lot of drivers that think this way. And now people are actually talking about it a lot. I've been seeing it. Here's something else that just happened this morning. There's some doctor somewhere, and they got a lot of traction with it, came out and said, yes, keto and carnivore can work, but they should only be done under medical supervision. And I said, well, that's bullshit. The only diet that should require medical supervision, and it does, is the standard American diet. If you're on the standard American diet, there's a pretty high chance that you're under medical supervision. You're probably on multiple prescriptions and you go to the doctor a lot. The people who are on keto and carnivore eventually just stop going to the doctor because they don't need it. The keto and carnivore is the proper human diet. It's the standard American diet that requires medical supervision. Well, I just posted that this morning. And here's a doctor that follows me.
Mail?
Yeah, no, it's supporting what I said, but it's a doctor who follows me. So I'm assuming they saw what I wrote, or maybe it's a coincidence, but if they saw what I wrote, I wish they would just repost what I wrote. But instead, they make their own new post and it says, experts keep saying keto requires medical supervision. You know what really needs medical supervision? The standard American diet. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure they saw my post and then, just give me a little credit for it. Just repost mine.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I should just be happy that we're talking about these things.
I used to eat probably 4 bananas a week and, a thing of blueberries or blackberries. But after seeing all that rubber watermelon and bananas and nut break and all that shit, and it's like, I think I'm going to hold off on the fruit for it. So I haven't actually, it's probably been over 3 weeks since I've eaten a piece of fruit, I think.
Wow. There you
and
go.
I don't even miss it. So
yeah,
I went back to getting the good summer sausage. So
there you go. All right. Hey, Paul, good stuff. I got to move along. I gotta wrap this up. I want to get to all these calls. Let's go to Arkansas. Charlie, welcome.
Oh, hello. Sorry. I was distracted taking a cat out the trap. Sorry. Got to make lunch here.
Anyway, you had a cat in a trap.
You know who I am, right?
Are you trying to capture the cats, or are you trying to catch Haitians?
No, there's a Chinese restaurant, and I'm trying to get fuel money.
Got it. Okay. Just so we know the truth.
So my call is about mileage and the critters. But there is, in a little town I live, there was a Chinese restaurant and an old diner. There was a fire one night, and I didn't see it because I'm not a firefighter, but they did find skinned cats in the freezer. So I didn't see it, but
Right.
there's several other people I know for years said that. So
Right.
I don't doubt it.
Right.
But I wanted to ask Joel if he saw many Chinese restaurants up there. Because if there's no cats left, Anyway.
You know, at one point, I don't know if this is still true or not, but at one point, and it probably isn't because this trend isn't as big as it used to be. When I was growing up, there weren't all the chains and all the different ethnic foods, unless you were in a place like New York City or a big city. You grew up in, we were talking about growing up in the Midwest in Ohio. We had Chinese food my whole life. I mean, I can remember when I was really, really young, we had Chinese restaurants and you got Chinese takeout. And it was a very Americanized version of Chinese food. But I can remember it was almost, I think I was in high school. Yeah, I was. I was in high school when we got our first Mexican restaurant in town. So there was a point that there were more Chinese restaurants in the country than McDonald's. That's probably not true anymore, but it used to be.
No, not with China doing their Watusi,
Yeah.
But hey, when I was leased to Mercer, the guy would come to the yard if you were in Louisville, or Louisville, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I used to kid him because he knew what I wanted when he'd see me. And I'd say, "What kind of cat do we have today?" He'd just laugh and say, "Persian."
Persian.
He didn't care.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway.
Hey,
now,
look,
seriously, on the fuel mileage.
I got to throw this in here. I don't want anybody eating their pets. I don't want anybody else eating somebody's pets. And I've talked about the fact that I would make a terrible farmer. I joke all the time that I have a farm. I really don't. I have a big garden. But I would make a terrible farmer because when I had chickens, I gave them names and then they became pets and there's no way I could ever eat them. But in reality, human beings we can eat 99% of all the species of animals on the planet. And I don't really see what the difference is if one culture eats cats. And the French have always been known for eating horse meat. That's not unusual. And in America, we would never think about eating a horse. Those are pets. Those are, we domesticate those animals and we love them. And I get that. But the French eat horse meat. They always have. Maybe the Asian countries eat dogs and cats. I mean, I know we were so shocked by it, but it's human nature. We eat other animals.
Well, I was never in France, but I understand they don't have many glue factories over there because of that.
Yeah, they eat the old horses. Horse meat is a fairly common thing in French cuisine.
Okay, so on fuel mileage, I'm leased to Landstar. They'll send us our fuel IFTA report every month. How accurate is that since it goes right off the e-log?
It should be pretty darn accurate. I mean, our GPSs are really accurate now. If it's tracking all the time that it's supposed to be tracking, our IFTA reports should be very accurate. Now, this is Joel's topic of there's multiple ways of tracking fuel mileage. And when you use different methods, you're going to end up with different numbers. It doesn't mean it's not accurate. You're just measuring different time periods. Like we can measure a tank the way we do on fuel gauges over and over and over. We measure the last tank of fuel. Well, then we also calculate the 30-day average. Well, you could go through every fuel up in your 30-day average and none of them might be the exact number you have for your average. That doesn't mean any of them are wrong.
So for a whole month, 7.5 is pretty good figure, and it's accurate, right?
I don't want to discount it, but I don't get very excited about 7.5 miles to the gallon these days. Now the average.
I didn't mean that. I meant accuracy.
Oh yeah, it should be very accurate. In fact,
yeah, because I got an APU that works now.
Right. I don't know why it wouldn't be completely accurate. We have all the miles and we have all the gallons.
So far,
and
that is 8.5.
Is the yeah. So that should be accurate. Yes.
Okay. All right. Now you're talking about driver appreciation week.
Yeah.
I'm I'm on the way to Oklahoma to take advantage of a free night's room and 2 days worth of meals for Landstar.
Okay.
Where they actually do something for you?
Which I like. If you're going to talk about this, at least make it something significant. I still have kind of well, first off, I have several issues with it, and I've talked about them over the years. One, even Landstar. Landstar does a pretty darn good job of hiring. It's a tough company to get on. They have pretty strict criteria. If you screw up when you're in their system, they're likely to get rid of you. But there's still some people there that I would say don't necessarily deserve a free hot dog. That's the problem with group appreciation. Not everybody in that group deserves the appreciation, in my point. Here's what I would rather see any company do.
I get it.
Let's say that they're going to budget $50,000 for Truck Driver Appreciation Week so that every driver in their company has access to this gift, whatever it is. I would much, much rather see them take that 50,000 and do something for the top 10%. However you want to quantify that. The people who have not had an accident or any kind of an incident during that time, the people who got the most miles, the people who generated the most revenue, whatever metric you want to use, appreciate the outstanding drivers. That's a program I could get behind.
Well, they do that separate.
Yes, they do. And Landstar is
There's
really
million milers and this and that.
right.
Yeah.
Landstar is really good at that. As an industry, I wish we would throw away this bullshit Truck Driver Appreciation Week and companies would take those resources and apply it to appreciating the top 10% of their drivers instead. That would do two things. It would reward the people that deserve to be rewarded, and it would incentivize the rest or some of the people to make it into that top 10% so they get rewarded, and then we all get better. This bullshit, you're going to get a free hot dog and coffee, and everybody is appreciated.
In a way, they do that. They do that here if you build relationships with the agents. And
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That system is closer to what I would like to see, and Landstar is probably one of the best at it. And it shows. It shows that look at Landstar's numbers and their performance and how they do as a business. Look at their owner-operators, their BCOs, and how well they do and how long they stay there. That should be the example that other companies should follow. Instead, we all jump on the, oh, look, you're going to get a free hot dog this week because you're a truck driver.
I wish I would have done this years ago, but anyway.
Yeah, I know.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and I got something to remind you about because I didn't hear you talk about this lately. Are you still hung up on the Cars for Kids song?
Something changed. I used to, when that came on the radio or the TV, I used to have to hit that button so fast because if I heard it, it would get stuck in my head. That's what aggravated the hell out of me about it. Something changed. I realize now I can just sit through it and it doesn't seem to stick in my head anymore. So I can ignore it and move on to more important things.
Well, now they have for the towers or towers,
tunnels to towers,
the veterans thing too. Yeah, they're doing the same thing, but I didn't know if you missed the song. It's not on as much as it used to be.
Yeah, I haven't heard the song from them. In fact,
that's
one of the.
Well, it's not the same song.
Right. Yeah, but any jingle like that usually annoys the hell out of me. I think they're meant to.
Okay.
But that is one organization.
Well, I'm done aggravating you then.
Okay, I'll let you go, and I'll finish my thought, and then I'll take one last call, and I'll get out of here. What was my thought? Oh, I'm not big on charitable organizations, and I steer clear of most of them because many of them have turned out to be horribly run. A lot of the money goes to management, and it's not that I don't want to partner or give to charities. I'm just too leery on how poorly some of them are run. We did a ton of research on tunnels to towers, and we wanted to get involved. I could get involved unofficially and talk about it, send people there, but we wanted to actually get involved directly with them, maybe get them on the show. I think they're just way too popular. You know, they're working with star athletes and movie stars, and they didn't really respond to us. So, but I think it's a great organization that's run very well for a charity. Let's go to Iowa for our final call. Brandy, you get the last word.
Thanks, Kevin. Got a few things, but I'll be real quick. I want to recommend a book called Pagan America by John Daniel Davidson. Tucker interviewed him on April 30th. Kaylee Means was interviewed by Megyn Kelly on Friday. Very good interview, and
I saw that.
really taught Megan some really valuable things. What Ron said about Israel is absolutely true. Once you go, you will never be the same. And what's the other one? I think that was it. But there was another one, but I can't remember it.
Got
But
it.
anyway, that's it.
My book list is totally out of control now because there's just so many topics anymore that I want to kind of get the inside scoop on, and there's so many good books
I
being
just thought
written.
if you,
Yeah.
the Left Behind series, you would read this first before that one, and then it might add some more depth to it.
So
And
it
because
was,
Tucker interviewed him, I thought it might be even more relevant.
yeah. So the title of the book was Pagan America. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. It's a black book with a burning church, and it's something about there's the rest of the title, but I can't remember.
Got it. I'll find it. I'm going to spend the rest of the day indoors. I got a lot of work to do on the CMC. We're at that point in the program where we've done enough, and I know the people in the program enough that I kind of go back and rewrite the rest of the material to make it more relevant. So I've got to do that today because I want to launch some new material tomorrow, and I know I'll get tired and need a break. I think I'm just going to read the rest of the day, read and work. Over the
Tomorrow's
weekend,
supposed to rain in your area.
yeah, which is unusual. The rain's coming early this year. It's kind of bumming me out because my garden's still behind. But I spent the last 3 days clearing land, and I can't believe how physical it was. I mean, I'm using the tractor for some of it, but then I'm getting off and I'm dragging logs around and tearing out fencing and chopping things down with hatchets and digging with the pickaxe. And I completely overdid it. I almost couldn't get out of bed this morning. I think 3 days of it was a little much. You know what's happened?
Oh, I know what it was.
Here's my theory.
It was the patches that Bruce is on.
No,
I'm on those.
I'm not trying those yet. Mostly because I'm not sure.
I know, but if you
go ahead.
If you decide to investigate it, now you have two people to reason for, and you'll have a case study, what Bruce has learned and what I've learned.
Okay.
But we'll wait for you.
Well, here's where I am on this. Prior to changing the way I ate, I don't care if I was in my 20s or 30s, the amount of physical labor I did would just be justified by how much energy I had. You know, you go out there and you try to do that kind of physical labor in 2 or 3 hours and you're just toast. You just don't have any energy left. Friday, I just blew through about 10 hours of that kind of work. I was still doing it after dark. Saturday, I got up early and started and did it till dark. Sunday, I got up and I was feeling a little tired and worn out. And I thought, yeah, I'm just going to go work anyway. I'll get over it. And sure enough, got enough energy that I worked only till about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And then I really started to drag. I just didn't have the energy left to do it. And but my energy levels now allow me to work beyond what I probably should. Like my whole body today just hurts. Everything from top to bottom. I just way overdid it. So, but here's the thing. I have enough energy if I wanted to put up with it. I could just go back and do it all again today, and I still have more to do. So I'm going to take it easy, though. I'm pretty sure. Hey, I'm gonna cut you loose. I need to wrap this up today. Gives me about 20 minutes to get ready for my next interview with David Owen. I'm looking forward to it. We will see you back here tomorrow for the Power Hour. I think it's a normal week. Nothing strange going on this week. I think we have our usual shows every day. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Be safe, be profitable, be fit and healthy. Always do the hard work and master the journey.
Did you know that 35% of fuel economy can be attributed to your driving habits? Use the Scan Gauge KR to maximize your driving efficiency. The Scan Gauge KR has built-in and programmable digital gauges that allow you to read instant fuel mileage, average fuel economy, and dozens more gauges as you drive. Get to know your truck and learn how you can improve your fuel costs and keep your money in your pocket where it belongs. Drive smarter and master the journey. Get yours today at letstruck.com or call our Tribe Care team at 855-800-FUEL. That's 855-800-3